Good evening. My name is Bill. I don't always drink wine and shoot fungal zombies, but when I do, I like to have Apothic Rosé, the official pairing wine of the fungal zombie apocalypse. Ah, well, I hate to drink and go shoot, but duty calls. Greetings,
I
once again, to Roman of the Empire. You know, we try. We try. Sometimes we succeed. Sometimes we fall flat. So tonight we are talking about The Last of Us, the HBO series, and the first 3 episodes and all that entails. And with us tonight we have Shieldwall of Dragons. Welcome, sir. How are you this evening?
Hey everybody, thanks for having me on. I'm excited for this one. So far it's been a good show, I think. So excited for the
You
discussion.
think? So we're gonna. This is going to be, I think, a pretty fun discussion. And Untamed Mando back with us once again. Thank you for being on the show, Mando. It's always nice to have you back.
It's always a pleasure. Super excited to be here. Yeah, it's nice to know that, like, the video games and then your reviews, like, so I can bring my video game knowledge. So this is gonna be fun discussion, even though I didn't actually play this game, but I know about the game, so it's excited.
I didn't play the game either. So I'm coming at this, as I've said in my reviews, from a series perspective only, because that's all I have. So, like the people who read The Hobbit, myself included, who hated the Hobbit movies, but the other people, and I don't know who they are, liked the Hobbit film. So
I know one person who does.
I actually don't know. Oh no, I do. But
compared to the Rings of Power, the Hobbit films are Shakespeare.
Well,
yes,
you're not wrong. You're
absolutely.
Not wrong. And speaking of which, welcome to the show for the first time, Joker voice. It is good to have you on, man.
I know it is. It's been so long. And I like Roman. I have never played the game. I'm not a gamer by any stretch. I talk movies and TV shows and a little commentary on the movers and shakers in the behind the scenes stuff of the Hollywood animal machine monstrosity that it has now become.
Yeah. And that's why I drink, kids. And back with us once again, one of my favorite interweb personalities, Flaccid Phoenix. Welcome back to the show, buddy.
Lots of words there, Roman. One of my favorite personalities, yeah. But I'm glad to be back here.
I didn't want to get too weird because it's going to get weird all on its own.
Yeah. What do you mean? It's always weird.
It's often weird.
I hope we can't hear my dogs too much. I think I might have to put them down here real quick. They keep this thing up here.
But whoa, I'm glad that went dark quick.
I'm glad we got to see Roman come out of the closet with his little Bill cosplay at the beginning of the show. But I will be your Frank on this journey today, Roman. So
yes, and I couldn't have asked for a better Frank. Having met in person. There was an attraction almost immediately, I think.
Oh my!
So
does Mrs. Roman of the Empire know about this?
She doesn't watch the show, so really, we're going to be okay. I'd say it's just between us, but it's just between us and anybody else who's watching.
What happens in the garage stays in the garage, right, Roman?
Right. And I am not wearing pants. Again, one of the great minds of the interweb. It is Matt, the Unbearable 73. Sir, welcome to the show. It is good to see you.
Good to see you all.
So, before we start doing episode breakdown and really go kind of diving into the meat of this, I'm going to go around the panel, and I want to get just kind of a: do you like the show? Do you not like the show? And in a brief summary, not nothing long-winded like my intro, why? So, Shieldwall, we'll start with you since you are immediately to my
All right.
whatever side this is.
I like it, and I'm excited to, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the 3rd episode, and we'll talk about reasons why later. I'm excited to see the next episode. and I've watched gameplay up to the point where the show is, and I think it's a really good adaptation. It sticks pretty close to each other, so yeah, I like it.
All right, Mando.
See, I keep preaching that I like things as close to canon as possible. And I still believe that. I think if you're gonna make something and call it, The Last of Us, and you're copying quote unquote a game or something that has source material, you should try and stick close to it. From what I've seen of the series and like Shieldwall, I've seen gameplay up to where for the most part where we are in the series. They do make creative differences, which is understandable. But as far as like the series goes, because I don't have HBO Max, so I'm just hodgepodging from clips and stuff that I've seen. I am hopeful. I am cautiously optimistic. I have liked it so far from what I've seen. Is it my favorite? No. But also like
I mean, that's fair.
I like zombie stuff. Like I play Left 4 Dead 2, Back 4 Blood. I've seen most of what was the big zombie show that my brain
Walking
can't
Dead?
remember. Walking Dead. I saw a lot of Walking Dead. I've seen, in a lot of other zombie movies. So to me, it is a standard zombie post-apocalyptic world. So I'm kind of like, if I were to give it a rating from 1 to 10, I'd give it like a 6.5.
That's solid. And I get it. So, Joker voice, sir, what are your thoughts?
Okay, well, as I said earlier, I am not a gamer. I have no idea about the lore or this world at all. So I'm taking Roman's approach. I'm just looking at it just as a story. It is very competently done. I will say that. The acting, for the most part, is very good. When I look into some of the backstories of some of the people in charge, there are some red flags that go off. But as far as the series goes, episode 1 and 2 did really well. Episode 3, we will discuss. I thought pretty much that entire episode was useless as it fit inside this story.
Yes, and you're right. We'll get there, but yes, I actually completely agree with that assessment. Flaccid Phoenix. Don, what do you think?
I'm enjoying it for what it is right now. I have no attachment to the video game. I never played it. I've only heard great things about it for the first one, horrible things about the second one. I know there's a fan base on both sides of it. They're very passionate. I know the people, like I think Joker said earlier, people in charge of it right now are kind of hit or miss. You have the original guy, I'm trying to think of his name, but he's the one that got in big trouble, pushing back, I think, with Geeks and Gamers too. I'm trying to think of his name. Anyways, but then we also have a great visionary, the guy that did Chernobyl. So there's this kind of mixed feelings for the future, which
I loved.
Right. So I'm kind of trying to take this as it's being given to me and not try to look in comparison with the video game. And so far, I'm enjoying it. But I think you're in my in the chat in my live stream I did Monday. We had a reaction to it and talked about it, so we'll get more into my actual again, it's just like you. I think episode 1 good, 2 okay, fine, 3 just kind of, it was a miss for me, and I don't get the praise for it, but I'm hoping it gets back on track here.
Same. Matt, what do you got, buddy?
My feeling on the show are kind of complicated. I'll keep it as simple up front as I can. I originally wasn't going to watch this because of I heard about the storyline changes to the game, plus Pedro Pascal, who I despise at this point. And I mean, his personality and whatever, but not so much. He's a good actor. I'll give him that. But, and I was, without making it overly complicated again, I was actually going to buy a PlayStation and play this game years ago in 2014 when it came out, until I found out a certain detail about the ending that I just didn't like. But as far as the gameplay and all that, it fit me. It just mentally fit me. So I heard they were making the show. I was like, oh, why did they have to do this in the woke year? Why couldn't they wait 5 more years? But then I heard some reviews like yours and all saying that they didn't pull the trigger on the woke canon, so to speak, with it, But But then I heard some other reviews where they said, well, it looks like they're going to do the bait and switch with Joel's character. If people don't know what that, if you want the bait and switch, it's like in Moon Knight, where he starts out as the hero and gets replaced in his own show.
Or don't get me started on Moon Knight.
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye,
every Marvel show there is.
Like they're setting up basically, pulling the rug out from under Joel's character, leaving aside the changes from the game to the TV show of his character. And I'm gonna watch it. I'm not gonna be enthused about it, but I'll watch it because the first episode, which is what I watched so far, was enjoyable to an extent.
Okay, so we're gonna have spoilers for you, Matt. Sorry about that.
I don't care about that. Like I said, I refuse to go blind into anything anymore. Life is
that's not a terrible way to think about anything to do with the entertainment industry.
It's just too expensive to watch or read anything without knowing what you're getting ahead of time now. But
I got you, and I think we kind of have a consensus on the panel right now. It seems that way anyway. Regarding it's kind of funny. None of us have played the game, but are watching the show for what it is. I myself, I really liked episodes 1, and I liked episode 2 a lot too. Episode 3, I liked 20 minutes of. And we'll like I said, as we talk about these episodes specifically, then we can pick these things apart. And I want you, and this normal deal, open forum. I'm going to start going through, and we're not going to go super deep into this because we're not going to be here for 17 hours talking about the fungus zombies.
Well, yeah, because I have to work at.
There you go. There you go. So we're going to try to talk about this for a couple hours and just kind of pick through the episodes, what we like, what we didn't like. And it's not, terribly hard to do until we get to episode 3. And even then, I don't think it's actually really hard to do. I tried to keep my review on that show short, and I wanted to. I'm like,
you did good.
Nothing happened, but I still ended up having like a 30-minute review just because I didn't want to neglect the unpopular aspects of the show and my feelings towards it as to the why of it. The why of it is important. You can't just say you don't like a thing. You need to say why you don't like a thing. 3-year-olds say they don't like a thing and don't tell you why they don't like a thing, except for me and a lot of food issues, which we were talking about in the green room before the show. In that manner, yes, I am like a 3-year-old, but that is what it is. So let's start talking about the episode. Starting with episode 1, which was when you're lost in the darkness. That's basically the call of the Fireflies.
Right.
And I want to talk about the Fireflies once we get to 2023. I have issues with them, and maybe they're valid. Maybe they're maybe I'm completely off base. I often am. Let's not kid ourselves. So we're in 1968, and you have some scientists on a talk show talking about world. Good God, I only have
end of the world scenarios.
End of the world scenarios. Yeah. Which I just would say as someone who was from the early 70s was when I was born. This set piece is amazing. It is like so perfectly done. And I forget their names. The two scientist guys just nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Dr. Newman is the one that we really care about. So you've got the tall feller in the middle.
Yes.
And he's talking about bacteria and viruses. And right. Dr. Newman, who's the gentleman on the end, not wearing the clever suit, with the older looking gentleman's like, I'm not worried about this at all. What I worry about is fungus. And everybody laughs. Ha ha ha. That's so funny. But then once he starts talking about it, the cordyceps and how what is it? Is it ants that it gets into?
Yeah, right. It's such an ants.
Now,
and then
I do want to point out for the people out there, it is far more likely that 50 million people will be struck by lightning simultaneously than this fungal thing would actually occur. So
I don't know. Have you ever been to the locker room at the Y? I'm sorry, that was bad. Remember, sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not. That was terrible. So, but he starts describing it really in detail about basically it takes over the drive of a creature, even keeping them alive. Because when you get an infection, what do you put on it? And just going deep dive. And then he's like, and if this got into the human population, it would try to, expand and control and take over. And everybody's like quiet in the audience at this point.
And then the tall guy says, well, that could never happen because what you're talking about cannot survive over 94 degrees, which a human body is 98.6 resting temperature. And then we get the first check box.
Yes, but Shieldwall and I were talking about this for show, and I'm like, even subtle messaging like that bugs me. And I have my own views about a lot of these things. And if you've watched the show before, none of them should be surprising to you.
But the thing is, they could make that plausible if they did something where, the polar ice cap melt and a rare breed of this fungus got out or something. That would,
you keep it even simpler than that, man. You don't even need to go that large scenario. Joel actually does a better job. I'm going to jump to episode 3 briefly because Ellie asked him about it. He just said the cordyceps mutated. That was it. It wasn't, he didn't know the why, but he didn't give a shit because it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And that would have been a simple explanation. If the cordyceps,
I'm saying they could have their woke thing with the environment, just do it in a plausible way.
But I don't want the woke thing with the environment. I don't want that block checked. As a non-woke viewer, these things are the things that get under my skin. Even like I said, it was a little bit. It was only a little bit in that first episode. But it was like, as soon as he said it, and we were all sitting in the living room, the family of the Empire sitting there, and he said it. I'm like, I look over at Jake of the Empire. He's signed. Mrs. of the Empire, she's looking at me like, if they're going to be throwing this bullshit as for the entire show, we're not going to watch it. And I'm like, no, let's give it a chance. So we go through that, and it was a great opening scene. And Joker, you're right. The sets and the effects, I think, and Flaccid, you talked about this as well. The show looks really good.
Look at the carpet. Look at the carpet.
Right.
They got that out of Flaccid's basement.
Ew.
Reminds me of the Merv Griffin show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's exactly what they're going for.
Yeah,
it's the Merv Griffin show. Yep.
Well, and these shows weren't. It wasn't. It wasn't what we have now. It wasn't The View. It wasn't Oprah. These were serious people talking about serious topics.
Like Donahue.
Back in the day.
Donahue.
Well, look, Donahue. They got an ashtray. Those guys were smoking cigarettes.
Right.
Yeah, baby.
You had the production engineer smoking.
Well, by the way, the dude who plays the other doctor, the bacteria doctor, I can't remember his name with the glasses.
Yes,
that's Christopher Heyerdahl, who you've probably seen in quite a few places.
Yes,
genre-wise. I know he was in that TV show with John Cena, the superhero show. I can't remember the name right now.
Peacemaker.
Yeah. Peacemaker.
Oh,
he was in the Van Helsing science fiction TV show. He was in Hell on Wheels. He's been in a lot of movies and stuff. So, he's all over the place in multiple genres.
Right.
So we have this really cool intro, retro looking scene, which I dug a lot. And
yeah, I think that
yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think that as far as the aesthetic that the show is going for, I think the look is they hit the nail on the head. That's the reason why my review, or if I was to do a review 6.5, that's really what brought it up, is you can see that they are trying to make it look as realistic as possible. Because I remember I didn't grow up with old black and white TV, but I did watch it because I was my grandma and stuff, and TV Land was a thing. And I remember watching shows like that, and that looks like something that you would have seen back in 1960.
Yeah. Totally, awesome reproduction.
Yes, absolutely. And the show, and then going in when we meet Joel and his daughter and his and his brother, that looks like a lived-in world. This looks like
Yeah,
completely
now
lived
we
in.
didn't know it was his brother at first, but it does. I mean, it's a very organic vibe. Him and his daughter have kind of a I guess a modern relationship.
Right. And but just going back to what I said, I mean, you got a vacuum standing up in their dining room area. Again, that looks like a lived-in house.
Yes. No, you're right. It's not it doesn't look like a set because it's got just kind of shit laying around.
Right.
So we come to the day. He's just barely pulling it together. It's his birthday. She wants to make him pancakes. They just don't have a lot of time.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. Oh my. And this scene goes on for a little bit, and it's actually I like the exchange between Joel and Sarah. And we're going to get to spoilers soon, but don't get used to people.
No.
I liked Sarah. I thought she was a good character.
Yeah.
And she seemed like something, and they did a nice job with this for the unexpected. Remember, spoilers, everyone. If you're watching this and you haven't watched the show, you're going to get spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
I don't know what to tell you. But she seemed like a character who was going to be continuing. That's the way she was written. She wasn't written like a character who was going to last an episode.
Yeah.
So that was I thought it was good. I thought the relationship between Joel and his daughter was solid. And his brother shows up. I didn't really get that he was even really, much of a screw up. He was just kind of there. And then she goes up and because she's got to go to school. She goes up and she wants to get his watch fixed. So she takes an old watch from his drawer and then they go off. And then on the way out, though, they see the elderly neighbors and they're trying to make conversation. Why don't you come over, Sarah, and hang out? Da, 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 da. And she and he's like, yes, she would love to, or something to that effect.
This whole opening scene to Roman, when they're conveying information, they're not telling you, they're showing you kind of like how everything's going on. They don't tell you like, well, now it's this year and you're my dad. I love you, daddy. It's like, there's subtle things you have to be picking up on. You have to be paying attention to the show because if you aren't paying attention, things will go over your head and you'll just kind of get lost. And so it's this weird kind of, you have to be hyper focused, but then also this intro is very kind of methodically slow. I think everything is purposely there. There's not something there that doesn't have to be there. I like you said, it gives you this good introduction to the daughter, and it almost makes you think that she's going to be more important than the next 30, 45 minutes, and then she's gone. But it's good.
To add to what Patrick said there, though, they do there's a concept called subverting expectations, which can be very misused in The Last Jedi.
Ruin Johnson, you round-headed simpleton.
Whereas with this character of Sarah, spoilers for game and book, she lasts a lot longer in the show than she does in the game.
Yeah.
And she, what they did, they subvert your expectations with this character in this show, and they use it in a very good manner.
I like that as they're talking, and then Tommy comes in and they're talking, and meanwhile you got this radio or TV playing in the background talking about Jakarta, and they just have a brief little exchange about it, and we don't hear about it again until the start of episode 2. And I'm like, oh, and then once Sarah goes to get her dad's the watch fixed, all of a sudden it's done so well. All of a sudden, it's almost like the air just gets sucked out of every scene, and it is quiet, and it's an uncomfortable quiet.
Wait a minute, Zax, aren't you on a show? Hello, Zax.
Hi, Zax.
Aren't you having a show right now?
No.
Are you
he does
cheating on George Mollo?
No, he had a video come out just a little bit ago. It was a clip from our Two Towers
I thought
stream.
He was going live. All right.
No. He was supposed to be live yesterday.
I was touched. Now I'm less touched. It's not like when Flassid's here, and then there's touching, my friend. There's touching.
Good and bad touch. But hold on real quick.
Yeah.
Zach's was supposed to be streaming yesterday. He's got his monetization back. He was going to make a formal announcement about it, but him and his family are very sick right now with, I think, COVID. So just send your prayers out to him and his family. So
they got
buddy,
the
I'm
vid.
sorry. Yes.
Don't eat the pancakes.
Yep.
Or
don't eat the pancakes. Golly. Okay. Oh, no, it was a clip. Okay, got it. Well, thank you for coming by, buddy. I do appreciate it. So you're right, and people are talking about the pacing of the show. I am a man who if there's a pacing problem with the show, I am about to shout that shit out. But the pacing on this, I liked how deliberate it was and how long they took with the scenes because it made it feel more natural and without exposition, which kills a lot of things. You got to know the characters, which was kind of the whole point.
Here's the other thing about the whole lead up is that it's a zombie movie and it's an apocalyptic movie or show. That's the premise. So you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. So the fact that it's so normal, you're like on edge. You're like, okay, when's it going to take the turn? And so they kind of bait you with that a little bit, and they show you these things and you're hyper focused on everything. I would like to bring up one part where I think it might have already happened, where if you miss it, you blink and it's gone. And that is the fact that they pan over a patch or it's like an award or something from the first Gulf War. So it's telling you, it's
he was
telling
in
you,
service.
right, that he was in the military.
Yeah.
But they never kind of mention it ever again, as far as I know, up to this point in the show. It's never brought up. It's never talked about. They're never like, this is why he knows how to use guns or anything.
Are you talking about Joel?
Joel? Yeah.
Okay.
Joel and I think Tommy as well. I got that vibe certainly.
Yeah.
That they both weren't just casual. Hey, I'm going to pick up a gun and figure out how to use it.
Right. Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
And I've said that in before is that when you have something like that bakes in competence. Well, how does this guy know how to do all this stuff? Oh, well, he was a cop for 10 years, or he was a firefighter, or he was in the military. Oh, he's in the Marines for 4 years. Okay, fine. I get why he can do all of this stuff. Hand-to-hand combat, shoot people, survival techniques, all that. How he knows how to use explosives. Fine. Is it super realistic? Maybe that a person would know all that stuff after just 4 years in the military? No, but maybe. You never know. But anyway, it sets up the premise by showing that this is why he can run around and beat the crap out of stuff. Right, exactly. He's not, I don't know, a orphan on a planet scavenging stuff for food rations that suddenly knows how to do everything.
What could you be speaking of?
Sounds familiar.
I don't know what movie that's from.
Good Lord. So we follow Sarah around through her morning. They drop her off. Joel says he's going to pick up cake later, which he forgets because he doesn't. And the nice thing about Joel, he doesn't come off as a deadbeat dad. He just seems like a dude who's got a lot going on
his plate,
and
right?
He's trying to manage his freaking life. So Sarah goes. This was the first kind of scene that really you started getting that vibe when she goes to get the watch repaired. And she's walking in. There's like you hear a lot of sirens in the background. This is before, after this, we'll see another thing that just you're like, but lots of sirens. There's something going on. But remember, this is 2003. There aren't smartphones. The interwebs, Al Gore just barely invented. So they're not what they are today. You couldn't.
And Jennifer Lawrence.
Clearly. Who invented the virus itself and probably the cure. So you didn't have the information web that you have now. If shit was happening, you didn't necessarily know it was happening. I mean, when 9/11 happened, my wife heard about it from a bus driver who was picking up our daughter. And then she came to wake me up, and then we watched it on TV like normal people, which you don't do anymore. You can't do that anymore because you can't trust it. That's neither here nor there. So he goes to get the watch. She goes to get the watch fixed, and the guy's in there fixing it. And his wife comes out, and she's like, "We have to close.
We're done."
And he's like, "What do you mean? We're open till 7. It's like 3:00." And
we're open. We're closing.
Something bad has happened. She's trying to rush the girl out. He's like, "It's fixed. It's fixed." So, and off she goes. And then you see, is it helicopters or jets? One of the two.
Jets.
So it's jets.
Normally in a zombie movie, it's going to be jets.
it's jets, and then it's helicopters after
Right.
that. And what I like about that sequence though is in a lot of stuff it just all happens all at once. This is a slow buildup.
Yes.
There's sirens, and then they go away, and everything's quiet. And then there's jets.
Yeah,
Why are
exactly. And
jets
that was
flying
just
over?
really
And then-
well done.
Right. And then it's helicopters, and you're like, okay, what are they
And-
doing?
I'm sorry, Shield.
No, that was going to be the end of my statement. Is like, what are they doing?
And it's that silence that's in between these sounds, because it's long and it's uncomfortable. You really get a sense of like, oh, I don't like this. And
because one of the things though is you have like a thing like the shop happen, and then everything pulls back again. And this is where I really like the pacing again. We go back to Sarah, and she's just kind of bebopping about her day. She's like, well, that was weird, because she's a kid. She's not thinking about things from, the modern day conspiracy theorist perspective. She's normal. So she goes and hangs out with the neighbors. And again, I really like this scene a lot. She's just in there. The lady's talking about making raisin cookies, which no one likes. I enjoy them, but regular people don't. And she's in there looking for a movie, and you see the old lady in the background. Now that you saw the old lady earlier, and she's just she's in her chair. She's not doing much. But Sarah's looking for a movie. So you're focused on Sarah, and there's an out of focus old lady behind in the chair, and she's doing the whole something is happening deal. And you're like, I didn't know how that scene was going to play out. I didn't know she was going to get up. I didn't. And then it just kind of moves on.
Right. And it's even
Sarah
more uncomfortable.
It is because something's wrong, but you don't know what they're doing a good job building. And the dog, always trust
the dog. Yes,
the dog's looking at her going like, I absolutely need to get the fuck out of here right now. Please don't leave me
with
here.
you. Take me with you.
So you get these cues, and it's just great. And then Sarah goes back to the house, and goes to bed. Basically, you don't really see her again until later. Let me see what the next slide is here. Yeah, so she's just it's gonna be bopping about her day,
right,
like a kid doing kid stuff.
I'm
sorry. Joel gets home. I apologize. I lost my train of thought. No, go ahead, Joker.
I was just gonna say, even that scene when she's walking next door to go home, and she's got her hand through the sprinkler and everything.
Yep.
Again, all the air has just been sucked out of the background. There is no sound, and it is just so uncomfortable. That's the only way that I could describe this opening setup is that I was uncomfortable the entire time.
Yes. So Joel finally comes home. He didn't get the cake. And they're just kind of hanging out, and she gives him the watch. He's like, I stole your money to do it.
But I'm an honest Dave because I put the change back.
Yes. Yeah. And it was, it was good. It was actually, she gives him the Kung Fu movie that she borrowed from the neighbors, and they have like a nice normal night. And then she falls asleep. She goes to, and then, she goes up to, next time we see her, she's in bed. He gets a phone call from his brother though, who's in jail because something has happened. Someone freaked out at a bar. I think he hit the dude or whatever. Then off to jail he went. And so Joel has to leave to go get his brother. Now, this is where things really start kind of getting hot. Let me see what my next slide is. Okay. I'm going to pull this off real fast so we can talk about the build up to this.
Well, I like the fact that like he leaves, she goes to sleep, and there's like so everything is, it's not like she's scared or anything. She just goes to sleep and then wakes up. Excuse me. And now something's off. It's too quiet, or where's dad? And you start feeling like, hey, there's not something right happening. And for a show to be able to do that in a very subtle way and not be like, hey, there's a zombie standing over my bed with a knife in its hand or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's how you do a show. That's what makes the show. That's what sucked me into the show. Like that moment right there.
Yeah.
And I want to add something in here. So the reason we care about these scenes ultimately is because they are part of Sarah's storyline. Like if they just killed her, say in the first 5 seconds, this whole bit would have been something you would have been like, well, we know what's going to happen anyway, because it's just a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
This is about Sarah and, ultimately.
And I think it's necessary because of Sarah's storyline. We understand Joel better.
Yeah.
Without the Sarah storyline, Joel's just another dude. Okay.
Well, also, like, it makes you think, like, and the game does this too in the beginnings, like, it makes you think Sarah is actually the main character, because even in the game, your first person you play as is Sarah. So you're like,
you control her,
okay.
and
We're
you're walking
seeing
around
everything.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing things through Sarah's eyes. So most of the time, like, if I'm a gamer, I'm like, oh, okay. So, Sarah's probably going to be either the main character or one of the, two main characters. Cause usually games do that, where if you're playing as the main, like that person, usually you think, oh, main character. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of games, that's all you play is that character for the whole thing. And you could walk around and manipulate things like pick up pictures and there's a newspaper that had a thing about Jakarta in it that you could read. So that's how it differed in the game. You were supposed to explore. And I mean, you could spend literally an hour just wandering around a room if you really felt like it. No,
the game
real,
relies
like
on context clues like that, like you picking up something.
And then the other, I was going to say, the other thing that's interesting to me is that in the game that in the gameplay I watched and in the show, it never mentions her mother. You don't know anything about her at all.
You
like
know
what her name is, if she's
alive.
I don't need it.
Yeah. And that's you're right. That's good. I want to address Copa's comment. As terrible as Spielberg's War of the Worlds was, the way he built tension of something being off during the attacks with use of sound alone was masterful. Yeah, yes. I agree and I disagree. I actually like this movie. And you can punch me in the junk later, and that's fine. But I liked War of the Worlds. But you're right. A lot of the techniques were, I would say, not dissimilar in the build. Because remember, in War of the Worlds, same thing. Normal effing day. And then it wasn't. But it was the way that happened. So Sarah, she wakes up to these explosions. She's like, what the hell? And she goes, and she now realizes her dad's not home. She's kind of walking around the house. She goes downstairs, and next door dog is there banging on the glass door, like, bitch, let me in. And so she opens the door, and then she's like, oh, it's the neighbor's dog. So she goes to take the dog home. This was such a tense scene. Her walking into the house, and the door is open.
Unlocked, right?
It's like walking into Flaccid's house. You expect the door to be open there.
The back one, not the front one.
See, I knew I should have known where it was going to go, but I still said the words, and immediately I regret it. So she walks and she's kind of wandering around, and then she steps into the kitchen and slides in some blood. It's like, oh, that's not good. And she sees poor old guy over here. I don't think he was able to speak. He was just kind of like,
He said, help me, initially.
And then she looks over, and this was a great effect. The mouth squigglies. Oi.
No.
I like it because it's different.
Yes,
it's different than stuff that we've seen. I mean, yes, they're not technically zombies, but it's a zombie show. Let's not kid ourselves.
Right.
It's something I've not seen something like this before, and it creeped me out. It gives you the gibblies. It gets under your skin.
Absolutely.
It's got a lot of good body horror with it, and it also speaks to the mushroom's sole purpose is to spread itself.
Right. Yes.
So that's like a physical manifestation of it wanting to infect somebody.
Right. And this is something that I because generally horror is not my genre of choice, and zombies are not my genre of choice. I can't stand zombie films now because they're all it's rinse and repeat. But this creeped me the fuck out. When those tendrils just start coming out, I'm like, nope, Nope.
So
And-
Flaccid, did you see?
sir.
Did you watch The Walking Dead?
No, I did not
You
put
didn't?
myself through that torture.
Joker, you didn't watch it either.
Gator
I
did,
hate-
my co-hosted, but
I can't stand
Gator
I can't-
saw it.
zombie films or shows.
I
Okay,
got
so
through
now
the
you're
first
genre.
like couple of seasons, but then I kind of just fell off.
Because it's hard in the modern context not to compare a zombie show to Walking Dead, because I mean it's still is it done now?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't even because I dropped out too.
It got ridiculous. People would be like, "I don't want to kill anybody. Now I'm an expert killer. Oh, I'm not a killer anymore." To, whatever.
And everyone dies.
Yeah, it just kind of went off the rails.
Everyone always dies.
And I
But
was like, "Come on, you guys could have figured something out by now."
Well, one day I may do a Walking Dead revisits, but that's a ways off. But thus far, I've enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed that. Nas, you know what, Nas, yes, the visuals in that were quite extraordinary. But again, I'm off tracking myself. So the Ghiblies were happening when the bugs came out. And
Okay.
this was great.
Okay,
They drive up. They don't fuck around.
No.
No, go ahead.
So this scene here, this is where for me, again, this is where it just it is like, okay, slow build, hit the gas, and we are off. And even still, because usually in a show or a movie or something, at this point you have got some music piece going on in the background as well. No, nothing here. This is just like the ambient sounds of the environment, and it creeps you out. It just raises the tension level.
And this was so. Yeah, she runs out of the house. Grandma's chasing her. So obviously the virus just kind of takes over your entire neural network. And just
Fast.
Like,
It comes up fast too.
And yeah, it's fast zombies. My the daughter of the Empire. She's the one that got me watching it. If you recall from my episode 1 review, and yeah, fast zombies creep her out. It's just one of those things. So they bugged her, but I love the scene, like I said, because Joel and Tommy are there, and it's a non-fuck around thing. They're not waiting to see what the fuck is happening with Grandma.
No.
They put her down, and quickly and brutally. But that's where we are, like immediately. As soon as I like you don't have all the filler bullshit. You immediately are jumping into it's all falling apart. It went from normal day to it's not. And as soon as you go into it's not, it stays there.
Right.
And the fast zombies are, in my opinion, are the way to go. Because even as a kid, I was never scared of slow zombies.
Right.
Yeah, you got to shoot them in the head. And these really aren't zombies. Like if you put like 2 in the chest, these guys will go down.
Right.
Just like the 28 days and 28 weeks later.
Mhm.
Yes.
But
Not
those
classic zombies.
ones
Well,
were
it depends on the type of zombie. I mean, I'm not
right,
going
but I mean,
to a
it's
zombie clinic, but
the slow zombies
No, it's
that
true.
you got to
It
shoot in
certainly
the
is
head.
right.
But
Right.
the 28 day, 28 week later zombies, like that opening scene in 28 weeks later, where I don't know if you've seen the movie, but he's running from them to the pier and they're just hauling. Oh man, that was so good. And I've loved fast zombies ever since then.
Well, I think the first time we really saw them, Dawn of the Dead. Am I mistaken?
No, they were just kind of shamblers in that one.
No.
They were-
Dawn of Zack Schneider's Dawn of the Dead.
You're talking about the 2004 one with
Yes.
What's her name? Polly. Her name is Polly something.
I don't remember any.
That sounds
actor.
right.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. I don't remember.
Mall, right? It's a remake
the
of
Mall.
the 78 one.
It's a remake of the other one.
Yeah.
which
Okay,
had the
they were
slow
fast in that.
Yes.
You're right.
So
Okay.
I think that may have been the advent of the fast zombie.
Right.
But these anyway. So Joel's checking out his daughter. You okay? Usual dad daughter stuff.
I want to comment here.
Yes.
Because someone else on the panel. I've Pedro Pascal's like become Hollywood's new toy that they like to play with, and he's into almost too much stuff. Right here, when he's interacting with his scared daughter, I thought was absolutely brilliant the way he was. I mean, I believed him in every
Yes.
scene he is in this entire time, talking to his daughter, reassuring her it's gonna be fine. Keep your eyes here, stay on me, and I'm like, okay, I get this. I can believe this.
Well, he's a very good actor who's a very subpar human being.
No, I think I like him as an actor. I don't prefer, just like a lot of the other actors, I don't prefer his commentary. Some are worse than
Right.
others.
Right.
But so, you know, and it is hard, you know, it's what do you decide to watch because you hate the actor so much? It's one
Right.
of those things. So yes, this was a good scene. And his brother, who we don't get to really know him that well, because he's not around a lot. So they're driving off to get the F out of here. This was a nice chase scene. A lot of fast driving, getting, you know, they get on the freeway, shit's locked up. You're driving across the field. And then they get into the city, and then a plane that was really great when the plane's flying over and just blows up. And, you know, shit's flying everywhere. And, you know, their car gets knocked over. Everyone isn't fine. Sarah's got a sprained ankle. And they're trying to get, I didn't understand why Tommy couldn't just walk around the truck at this point, because they got separated for a little bit. And I didn't know why this happened though. I couldn't, it's like, what, is there something in the way, Tommy? You just can't, or was he trying to hold him off? What was he doing there?
They didn't show the shot correctly in the game. It's obvious that they're blocked.
Okay.
So when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is what they were trying to emulate, but somehow they jacked the shot up.
Yeah.
In the game, that alleyway is completely blocked by crashed vehicles and stuff. And
yeah, like it's just completely cluttered, and like there's just downed power, like everything rubble, like is just all over the place. Like it's basically a maze.
But you're right, because I was like, oh, this is Kenobi all over again with the laser fence. You know?
Oh, you can't say things like that. Oh, we don't talk about Kenobi lightly around here. So Joel scoops up Sarah because she's injured. They went through like a kitchen or something, right? It's like a restaurant, and it's just a hot mess though, because the zombie critters are everywhere. And there's one's chasing him, but they apparently, I mean, they don't regulate their speed well, because they're only thinking about that, because so the zombie's like overshooting. As he's making turns, the zombie keeps going.
So there's levels of infection, right? And the first ones you get is it's taking over, but it's still not fully in control. So it's making you go fast, but you don't have full motor function yet.
Yeah, you're all over the place.
Right. So you're start and go, and you don't have a lot of balance. And then you turn into like ones they want to bite you like that, but they're more in control. And then they get the mushroom head part, and they become clickers, where they can't see, and they're super strong and hard to kill. And then there are ones after that are completely covered in mushrooms that are super strong and
good eating mushrooms. Maybe. Unless you're Joker. Joker does not like.
Yeah, but that's why those guys are stumbly, is because the fungus hasn't fully taken over.
So so Joel and Sarah are running. Oh, sorry, HBO, I stole one of your images. And they pop out the back door of the place, and one of the fungus zombies is following them, and it gets taken down. And you're like, oh, it's a soldier. And the soldier's talking to whoever is his boss. And you can tell there's a conflict here. Because it goes from, I've got a couple of civilians to, basically, can you repeat that? He's not believing what he's hearing, and he's being given orders to shoot them. I don't know what would happen in a scenario like this. they're looking at not taking chances. And I'm not justifying this, so please don't think that I am. But do I understand it? Yeah, I do. It sucks, but they're shooting everyone. Everyone so he sees that she's injured. He doesn't know what it is. They don't want to take the chance, so he's being given the order to put him down.
Right. And this is kind of, I know what, sorry, I just popped back again. I just had to, I had to say that this is something that when the soldier paused, and I'm like, oh no, someone's not going to make it out. And this was something I was not expect, because you don't expect, because I did not expect someone to not survive this, but a child. I mean, that's a dark turn. That's a dark turn.
It was, and this scene took me completely by surprise. Because he opened fire and Joel does the dive, right?
Right.
Like Flaccid, right? You would do the dive.
Yeah.
You're being unusually quiet. It's creeping me out a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
No,
It's creeping me out. I'm not even sure what to do.
You want me? I can start being aggressive if I want to. I'm trying to let everyone else speak about this because
show your dominance, buddy.
He's saving everything for the third episode.
Is that what it's? Is that what it is?
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Bill and Frank. I'm just kind of laying back waiting for this. But no, I mean, again, like we said before, that they are, like we said, with the communication with the soldier, he's not. You don't hear like take them out, and then he's like, okay, it's clear to me that I have to take them out. You see, he's communicating to like something that's silent to the audience, and you see his kind of hesitancy, his kind of. You could see him kind of process it, and then he has to like. Shoot him, so and you can feel. Also, the tension's being built there too.
Yes, yes.
I also like that he is hesitant, but if you like, you got to think of what's going on, and he understands ramifications if an infected person gets past him.
Right, right. And again, this
sucks.
And again, this entire piece, which. Is like sets the table for what's to come. This is probably my favorite part of these 3 episodes, because again, there's no swelling music in the background. It is just the moment, and it's just so well done. And
it catches you off guard,
and because it's quiet. It's just like and it's so uncomfortable.
So, like, I'm one of the ones who knew what was coming here. I was reminded of how I felt way back when Game of Thrones, when Ned died at the end of the first season, where the Red Wedding happened, how the internet the people who never read the source material reacted to it. That's kind of what.
Wow!
Oh my God!
Whoa! Whoa!
This is probably true. I mean, she had a broken ankle. She was laying down.
Yeah,
stop it right here, Roman.
Zax is right. He's really that based. He was like,
my God.
yeah, exactly. Yeet. Yep.
Oh, not to saturate, but I was talking.
Jesus. So Joel takes, I think I don't know if he got a scratch or whatever, but you didn't expect when everything went down, when he rolled Sarah over for her to have the thing, and because I thought, they're okay, and then they weren't okay, and her death scene was, I think, very well done,
heart-wrenching.
I think Pedro Pascal did a fabulous job at that.
Yes.
So I gotta give him acting kudos where they're doing. It was a good scene. It was a heart-wrenching scene, and that's exactly what it's supposed to do. And then we time jump to now. And this was another scene that fucked me up.
Yeah. Yes.
So we're watching this little kid wander through the woods. You can see the shoes are taped up, and the kid's just walking like, there's nobody else around. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. It doesn't really matter. And the kid finally gets to, in Boston, has now become basically a fortress. And it's got an entry point. Welcome. They don't mean it. And this wonderful lady is talking to this kid, Oops, and I'm not sharing images with you because I'm a fucking idiot. If I'm being a fucking idiot, I rely on the panel to tell me that I'm being a fucking idiot.
Well, I didn't know
watching
you
the
had
images over
imagery.
here, like everything is
you had
fine.
imagery.
Everything is not fine. I'm a complete fucking chimp here. So you got kid wandering through the woods, and kid gets to the gate of Boston. Okay. And then the kid comes in, and the way they bring the kid in, though, strapped to a chair, and they say it's so you don't fall down. And you're like, oh,
okay.
Clearly, they have the best interest of the child at heart.
Well, of course.
But this lady played this scene so well, just talking gently to the child while the guy comes up behind with the thing, and she's like, "You're going to feel a little pressure on your neck," and it's all in the background. Again, they don't overdo the scene. You just see the red screen. He doesn't see anything. He doesn't.
If you blinked,
oh yeah,
you missed it.
Yes, you wouldn't have known. And he starts talking about you'll have all your favorite food, all the toys you want. Now at this point, Mrs. of the Empire is like, they're gonna kill that kid.
yes. And Roman, like you said, they didn't overplay this because in what would be a normal thing now, they'd be like, oh crap, she's infected, and everyone would go into panic mode. Right. This was just very subtle, and like I said, he just lowers his hand, and you see the red screen. If you blink, you miss that completely.
Yep. And she's like, "You're just gonna feel. They're just gonna give you some medicine, and then you're gonna go inside." And you see the kid get the shot, and you're like, "Oh, Jesus!"
Right.
And then we jump to Joel. Well, you don't see Joel immediately. You just see people throwing bodies into a burn pit. I'm going to pull this off for a sec.
By the truckload.
By the truckload. Way to dispose of bodies, by the way.
You're right. Especially in the city, it's not. I don't think
there should be a ton of incinerators laying around. There should be,
or you take them outside the city.
I sound like a sociopath criticizing how they're disposing of mass human remains, but it's like.
I mean, if it was good enough for Paris, it's good enough for everyone else.
I'm just saying.
It just
seems things move pretty quickly.
These infectious bodies would be you'd be letting people manhandle them in non-hazmat suits.
So one thing I'd like to bring up about that opening scene is what surprised me is, so it's 20 years later, right? They got operable Humvees. There's vehicles driving around. This means they got maintenance, parts, fuels. There's a helicopter. They have the 47 have a helicopter fly. That's not an easy thing to keep a helicopter flying.
It's not.
Yeah, exactly. Even when everything is supposed to be working,
especially modern,
you have all the parts right.
As a helicopter guy, I know how hard helicopters are to maintain.
Yeah, and they have one flying around, so that tells you they got their act together.
Actually, that surprised me too, Shieldwall. When I saw the helicopter flying over Boston, I'm like, oh, they still got helos. Clearly, this is a populated or controlled area.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's not super surprising because it's Boston's such a big place. Like I would imagine the bigger cities would have a little bit more resources as far as helicopter. With that,
but it's a matter of where the parts are. Remember, even in the modern military, I'm sitting in San Diego, California. I can't always get the part I need because it's not here. So in the helicopter maintenance world, and Invader Zim out there can attest to this as well. Even if you have all the resources you normally would have, not the end of the world, getting parts isn't easy. So at the end of the world, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. There are depots and such, but but now your parts are infinite because surely the factories aren't there anymore that are producing this stuff. You're going to be cannibalizing. That's a term we use when you pull a part off another aircraft to put it on in context of the show, because
also in the show you might be cannibalizing.
It's also in the show,
right? But it also shows that, because as we see that these zones are, it's a very it's run by the government now, who has just gone complete lockdown on everything.
Yeah. But I get it.
And the people and for the normal folks in there, the resources are so scarce that it would make sense that those in power would keep as much of those the resources for themselves, because they're the ones in charge. They're the ones who need to maintain the order.
The point I was trying to make with the whole helicopter thing is that it immediately lets you know at what level the world is still at. It's because I was thinking maybe they were like no guns. They got like, buzz saws and guys in ski mat, like Mad Max level. But this is not Mad Max level.
Simple. The reason they could have that 1 or 2 helicopters active is because they probably have a parts supply for the 50,000 helicopters they normally would have.
Right. But what I mean is the fact that they're still flying helicopters means there's an organized government, and that, it's not just raiders driving around the desert. Right. Exactly. It's not Mad Max. So that impressed me about that. And then, of course, as you go into it, they're showing like, how everything is martial law and whatever.
So the urban areas, but we don't know all the urban areas. And again, it's not even with Boston though. It's an area of Boston. It's not Boston,
right? It's
part of Boston, because you can't wall up an entire city. That's just not simply feasible. Like in San Diego, if things were to go to shit, they would blow up the bridge, and North Island would become the place. There's a way you can get there, but it's a single way in, single way out kind of entry thing. So that would be the place to be. North Island, zombies, cannibalization. Oh, fire pits. So they're throwing bodies into burn pits. And then you see, the kid, another truck loads, and this little kid and a woman who's she's like, I can't do this. And Joel just grabs the kid, throws it in. We get to the end of his work day, and he's talking to the dude. He's like, yeah, any other assignments?
Right.
And I think sewage was like his next assignment. So this is how they earn credits to get stuff, food, whatever they need to get. Because it's, you still have to have some kind of way to motivate people to do something. Because people left to their own devices will do nothing. That's just the way the world works. And that's not me being, cynical, but I'm a little cynical. Oops, I've jumped ahead. So Joel goes off and he's talking to a guard for a minute. Because Joel's doing like some side shit, and I'm sure a lot of regular people are selling drugs, selling whatever, so that he could get more credits and establish network for the business. Because that is Joel is a smuggler. We kind of get to that eventually. And he goes and he talks to the radio dude. His brother Tommy is missing. I haven't heard from him for 3 weeks.
Right.
And this guy's like, what are you gonna do? Basically, it's like, okay. And Joel does not like this. He's like, this is where Joel's getting the idea. I've got to go find my brother.
I think he's had this idea for some time.
Well, I mean, if your brother's been missing for that long,
well, in the post-apocalyptic zombie world, that's you get some ideas. Like if it was here, it'd be like, well, he's an asshole. In this realm, because he's across the country, he's in Wyoming or something. I don't know if we established that at that point, but
which you're lucky to find anyone anywhere in Wyoming.
Just in normal times, Wyoming is a vast area, but now it's the zombie apocalypse. So from Boston to Wyoming, you might as well be on the other fucking side of the galaxy, because it's nothing is normal anymore. Nothing is normal anymore. Tom Brady is off screen getting ready for training camp. Is Tom Brady coming on to the show this evening? Because I'd like to hear his take.
The goat.
But then we pop in and we get introduced to Tess. Oops. What did I just do? I did something bad.
Fine so far.
Oh God, what am I doing? Why is this happening? You're not seeing it. I'm seeing it on my end.
Okay.
Sorry, because I'm a moron. I don't know how to do
Squirrel.
Anything. That's how we get here. Anyway, so we meet Tess, and she got the shit beat out of her by a couple dudes, and she's talking to what's this cat's name? Robert. Where are we? I think it's Robert. We're going to call him Robert.
They
But
do a good
he's-
She
job
has a
of making.
convenient daughter to shield her body with.
Yeah, they do a good job of like making her look really gross, even though she's not.
I
I've
actually
seen-
didn't recognize her.
Yeah, I know she's in Mindhunters. I think that's probably what I know her best from.
I knew her from
And she's-
Fringe. Olivia Dunham
Okay.
from Fringe, which was one of my
Yeah.
favorite shows back in the day.
Talk
She's
about
great
a strong and
looking.
awesome female character.
No, it is Robert. I'm not out of my mind. It's Robert. Yeah, no, she does. And she doesn't look like a, because Anna Torv is a pretty lady, but she doesn't look like a lady who's wearing makeup and just has sweaty hair. That's The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead does a really bad job with that, I'm gonna say. The pretty girls are always still pretty girls, even in the zombie apocalypse. You know, I appreciate that from a male point of view. But is it realistic? No. She looks like she had the shit kicked out of her.
Yep.
And so Robert was supposed to be selling her a battery, and things went, wrong. His guys picked her up. They beat the shit out of her, and she's like, just let me go. It'll be fine. I get it. It was a misunderstanding. He's like, well, what about your guy? And we don't know who her guy is at this point, but he's
Right.
afraid of him. He's afraid of what he's going to do. So this doesn't look like it's going to go all right, but then the wall blows up. And she gets out and goes home, basically. And home is where Joel is.
Mhm.
And so this is where we realize that the guy that Robert was afraid of was Joel. Because we don't really fully understand who Joel has become at this point. We know, he's sketchy, but everybody, I assume, is a little sketchy at this point. I don't know how they're not. If they're having to deal and trade and to get credits so they can buy
Okay.
whatever bits of shit they need. Yeah, go.
Because I think with this or because with this when he meets his little contact that he's smuggling in
Yeah, the guard.
drugs for, we see public hangings for folks who have
Oh, yes, we did. You're right. People who have violated the quarantine zone. Yeah.
So
based.
So we see that. And then, so Joel is gonna be, he's gonna be sketchy. He's gonna be sketchy because he's essentially he is a criminal, and this guy can rat him out at any time. And so this is just more of a survival instinct kind of thing.
Let's see here. So yeah, she comes home. She's all beat the fuck up.
It was just two guys. I said that you wouldn't hurt them, but I really want you to hurt
But I
them.
want you to. I loved that. I thought that was great, but I really want you to. And then we meet this strange girl in a room.
Don't like her. Don't like her.
And we don't. And so this is Ellie, and she was on Game of Thrones.
Liana
She
Mormont.
played I want to call her a marmot, and I know
Liana
that's
Yes.
Mormont.
Yes, and
Mormont. Mormont.
and she was great for the 10 lines she had.
No, in Game of Thrones, she was fine. Yeah, she didn't have a ton of lines. The problem is Ellie immediately, and I think, and this is my take on it. Other people have different opinions. Ellie is immediately unlikable because of her general attitude, demeanor, language. Pretty much everything about Ellie is off-putting to me.
So
Other people may find them
Girl bossy,
perky. I don't know yet. Girl bossy. I don't know. I myself
or
did not.
precocious.
So you're
Precocious,
saying
that's
this
a brilliant
show-
term, yes.
this show needs a giant.
What the show needed was to make Ellie a
Scared.
more innocent character.
Scared.
See,
Make
So-
to
make
these, to these woke people, this is how women heroes act. Like Ellie.
and it wasn't the first time you meet her. You're like, okay, is this? But
Mhm.
the second,
And-
especially right
Yeah.
here, especially right in this scene here, I'm like, oh, this is the Hollywood trope. The girl, that's the key to everything.
The girl's key to everything. Yes.
And
So,
this
yeah,
is also the first sign of the possible bait and switch. the way Ellie's character has been changed.
So
Go
something
ahead,
we
go
kind
ahead.
of been kind of touching in the show here a little bit. We talk about, zombies and maybe either it being original or not. I really have no issue if nothing in the show is like original. Like you said, the trope of she's the key to everything. We have very similar zombie tropes. Even if they made the zombies not this fungus, they could be very stereotypical zombies. What matters, I think, the most to all of us here is like how great they can execute these character moments. And this is the thing I have the biggest concern with this show is Ellie, because of all the things in this show, it's kind of like Ellie's just meh.
Hi, Vex.
Welcome to the show for the first time. Vex Electronica, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you here. So you've come in at an odd time. No, and I knew you were gonna be here when you were gonna be here, and you're perfect. We're
not wearing pants at this point, so
it's gotten a little weird
for yourself.
But Placid's here, so you kind of got to expect that.
Gotcha.
And it is what it is. So we're in 2023. We have just met Ellie, and so but look, I'm going to give you a chance here because you weren't here at the beginning though. Do you like the show? Do you not like the show? And a brief summary as to the why of it.
I'm meh about the show, but I imagine that it'll probably end up going towards a no. Especially after this episode with the shit they pulled 3 episodes in. But the reason I'm there is because it's another. I feel like Hollywood has gone down this pathway of like, oh, if we just make a movie or TV show look good, that's more than enough. So to me, this Last of Us adaptation, it looks good, it sounds good, but it feels like it's missing a lot of soul and character, which is what made that first game so memorable, right? So now with this unnecessary deviation from the plot in this 3rd episode, I imagine I'm just gonna it'll be a no at some point.
Yeah. I am concerned, but I think you're 100% on that. I loved 1 and 2 and 3, and we'll get there, but 3 yanked me right out of the universe. This what I found to be an interesting universe that they've created.
Because I was watching I was watching Critical Drinker's review of the first 3 episodes this morning, and he kind of echoed what I thought. Not that I have any influence over him at all, but it's competently done. But there are red flags going forward.
Yeah. Yes, and it's a problem. I wish it wasn't a problem, but it's a problem. So, all right. So we've met Ellie, and when we first meet her, though, she's chained up. People come into the room, and they're like, "Hold out your hand." They're doing testing, so they clearly, they are worried about her for reasons. We don't know exactly what they are until we get the reveal scene with
Marlene.
Thank you. But even then, we don't really get the reveal.
Right.
She just is like, if you tell anybody what I'm about to tell you, I'm going to kill you. Okay, that's reasonable. It's a reasonable thing. And we move forward again. And so even Marlene's, I'm going to call them staff, but her
Underlings.
team members, and these are the Fireflies.
Right.
They're I don't want to call them a terrorist group because that doesn't sound, but they're kind of a terrorist group. They
Anti-establishment group.
Right.
That's a much nicer phrase.
Well,
within Boston, they don't like what the government's rule is, and I want to talk about this though.
Okay.
Because she's like, they're fighting for democracy, blibbity blah blah blah. Here's my problem with the concept of democracy during the what we call the zombie apocalypse. It doesn't work.
No.
I get it. You might not dig centralized control by the military. I as a general statement, when I say the words, I don't like that either.
Correct.
But this
there is a place for it.
Normal times. Everything has to be tightly controlled. If you don't manage these borders, the rules, the quarantine zones,
the
people
resources
will die. You could lose what's left of humanity. That's why they have to do what they do. Now, the members of these organizations, if they're being a dick, got it. They're power hungry guys. I understand all of that. However, as an overall concept and management tool during something like the zombie apocalypse, yeah, I got to say it's probably your best option.
I think if the guards were more attractive, I think I'd be okay with it, Like if you have a hot dominatrix at the front gate being like, I'm going to spank you if you come through. It's like, okay, maybe not. I'll listen.
They were like bikini chainmail and,
Well,
I'm buying it.
Red Sonja? Okay, I'm fine with it.
If you notice, because of it being post-apocalyptic or whatever, that at least in the game I noticed, and I'm pretty sure, well, in the show too, it's men and women are part of it.
Mhm.
It's not all men. It's not all, there's all different kinds of people because you can't afford to exclude anybody that's competent and merit-based could be part of that. So yeah, there's that aspect to it. So it's not like only one race of people are in charge or something like that. It's more just the organization. But I'm with Roman on this. The show has not demonstrated to me that these people are patently bad, that the system is broken or corrupt or whatever. Now, I would have preferred to see that because I think in today's society, everyone just automatically assumes that is like, they're Yahtzees and this is what they're supposed to be. But I'm not really.
No,
but I'm not
hard.
seeing
It's
that.
hard to be vested in the Fireflies' goal and mission when you're not really seeing that
Right. I haven't seen their mission statement. I need to see their
Right.
mission statement, not just a bunch of Firefly stuff.
Well,
Right.
I mean, I can't get behind them because Roman, like you said, their goal is destructive in the terms of for future survival.
Right. Doesn't work. It just simply doesn't work. Democracy, even in our society, democracy is kind of it's a
nice name.
Notion, but it's
a nice name, but it's mob rule.
Yeah,
it's
mob rule. Yeah, it's mob rule. Yep.
I guess it depends on the mob. I mean, if you have a great mob full of scientists who have the best,
no, it's never good.
Democracy is mob rule.
Now,
right.
But no, I don't agree.
Maybe
with
later in the show, because I've been watching the episodes and then I watch gameplay to match up to it to that point.
Talk about yourselves. I'll be right back.
And I don't go beyond it. Maybe it does get explained why the Fireflies are better or they have a good plan and what they're trying to do. And what Fedra is doing is evil and bad and it's corrupt and broken.
Well, Vex, yeah, I was just going to say, Vex, do you have some insight on this?
I didn't want to cut you off, so I've just gotten used to raising my hand in the streets. But,
right?
I was going to say, I agree with what you guys are saying because it doesn't seem like there's any reason for the Fireflies to exist. But I mean, not including what we kind of saw in this latest episode, but recall at the very beginning of episode 1, a military man guns down Joel and his daughter, right?
Right.
It's not tied together very nicely, and I think Shieldwall alluded, at least maybe they'll explain it later, but just based on that, I think we can safely assume that whatever the government has set up for the rest of humanity isn't good if they're just gunning down everyone.
We did talk about that particular thing where he did do that, but you also have to look at the way that it was explained to him was if any infected get by, we're done. So he had to follow those orders. Now he didn't have to know, but he chose to. But that's the reason why. So I think it's implied in the show that Fedra's bad and the Fireflies are nebulously good because some of the stuff that they're doing, like the impression you get from Joel is that maybe they're kind of a-holes. And they're not really the best thing for everybody, but he's working with them because of circumstances.
Right. And they also established because Tess and Joel say, we're not good people.
The trope of governments in these post-apocalyptic thing being bad, like corrupt, comes from the historical trend that the more authoritarian the government is, the more likely they are to imprison or kill people. So that's built into that. So it's kind of balance of, you need the strong government to survive the zombie apocalypse or whatever. but conversely, that sort of government is self-destructive.
Yes, it only lasts for. It's the what Plato says, like, or was it Plato or Socrates? I forget. It's the cycle of regimes. Basically, like what happens is eventually like a dictatorship or a monarchy or whatever, like a very centralized power system will eventually fail, and then what comes right after it is more of quote unquote mob rule, and then mob rule just disintegrates into chaos, and then you have what we call like a republic, and then that also ultimately will fall down into a dictatorship again. It's that cycle of if you don't stop it, if you don't put safeguards in place, it will fall, because ultimate power corrupts, like absolute power corrupts absolutely.
The interesting
and that's
thing about this show is that the way it's written with Joel and Ellie is those two entities are actually just secondary characters or events. One of them is not technically they're working for one side, but they don't really follow their precepts. They're just doing it to get something that they want. So they're basically freelancing the whole thing. So they could give two craps about Fedra, and honestly, I think they could give two craps about the Fireflies.
Correct.
And they're just using them to get to their own ends. So it's up to the watcher to decide which side is good and which side is bad, and you can see both sides of it, I guess.
We're gonna I want to zip through the next little bit here, just because we still have quite a bit to cover. So Joel and Tess decide they want to go get the battery that was supposed to be sold to them by Robert, who screwed them over. So they got to go through the underground. They find this thing, which I actually did find very interesting.
Ooh. Unsettling, very unsettling.
It's just blown up, man. Ew, there's so much ew in this. It's great. So they're going through. They've gone out of the. They're in a no-go zone right now, and they come across this handsome devil. But then they do pop up where the battery exchange is supposed to happen, and who turns up? So you got the kid, charming as ever, and then Marlene is there as well. Marlene was the one that Robert sold the battery to because he's an asshole and he's just trying to screw over anybody involved. But there was but what we didn't see was whoa, firefight, and Marlene took a bullet, so she's not in shape right now, and she needs to get Ellie out. Again, we don't know where we are right now with who Ellie is. So she makes the deal. Go ahead.
I think we've guessed on this point that this is
everybody watching probably made the same supposition that Ellie has some kind of key. We know the girl who's the key to everything, but she's immune to the virus. That's the assumption you make. You don't quite know how you get there, but you're getting there.
Right.
So Marlene wants to make a deal with them. She's like, all right, here's the deal. I can't go. I got a freaking bullet in my stuff. I'm bleeding out. I need you to take the kid to a Firefly outpost where they can I don't even know if she goes into the explanation as doctors. No, she doesn't. She just needs her to get to a Firefly outpost because she's trying to keep it as baseline as she can, because she you don't know what the reactions are going to be of the people you're turning the kid over to, and there's a lot of back and forth here, and ultimately they decide yes, because they're going to be able to get their vehicle, they're going to be able to get the things they need. Everything is transactional. And that's it. So they make their way. Well, actually, I'm jumping ahead, and I do want to pull back just a sec. So they take her back to the apartment for a minute while they're waiting for nightfall to come, because you can't do this kind of shit in the daytime. And the kid's kind of wandering around. She's still mildly annoying, but she finds a book of 80s music, but she also finds the code in there while she's dicking around. And it's like, 60s music is, safe, 70s, and then I don't think it said what 80s music was for or something, but so there's whatever music plays on Joel's radio is a signal from someone as to the condition of the area 80s, that they're.
Column just had an X in it.
An X, right.
Right.
So eventually she gets it out of Joel that it's trouble.
Code broken. I want to slap her. Just.
And that's what I felt about Ellie through a lot of the episode.
I really feel like just throwing my 2 cents on Ellie's personality. I think what and we touched on this earlier. Vex, you've probably played both games, I'm assuming, or did you only play the first game?
I've just watched the gameplay for the first one because I don't
Okay.
have a PlayStation, so I have
Gotcha,
an
yeah,
idea of what happens in the second though. So
I actually I did it backwards. I've seen the gameplay for the second and then realized, oh, there's a first. And so like I feel like what they did is they put The Last of Us 2 Ellie in the Last of Us TV show, because
Yes.
like later on, Ellie, she's older, she's jaded, she doesn't give two shits about anybody.
No.
You know, like no, like just I am doing what I'm doing, and you can help or you can hurt. I don't give two F's about anything. Whereas my impression of Ellie from the first game, she's got a smart mouth. She's a smart mouth kid, but she's not like as jaded to the world. She still has hope in her eyes.
She still has her innocence, and that's what made her so
Yeah,
interesting in
that
the
is
first game,
absolutely.
right? But this is something I don't think a lot of people touched on with the first episode, because I remember everyone was like, "Oh, the first episode's great." I'm like, they completely ruined Ellie's character from the get-go. That sense of innocence that she had, that ends up kind of it's what ends up bonding Joel and Ellie throughout this entire adventure. And instead they jump straight to the smart mouth because, oh, I'm an independent woman, that storyline. Yep. So even from the get-go, I could tell that, oh fuck, like they fucked over that character already.
And Matt talked about that big switch, waiting for that to happen.
And and this is what I got, and this is what I got from Drinker, was in game one, it was this budding and developing pseudo father-daughter type relationship where there was general care that was growing between these two characters. And Ellie initially is kind of useless. She's not good in a survival situation.
She's a kid,
right? Yeah. Because she's a kid. But
you don't get that here. You don't get that here.
Well, what we get now is, I want a gun. I want a gun. Can I have a gun? When do I get a gun?
I didn't play the game, so I didn't have any of those, like I said, predispositions regarding Ellie. I only knew I didn't like her but I didn't know that in the game there was a build up to Ellie going from the innocent kid to a more jaded, hardened character. You start off with a jaded, hardened character, you have almost nowhere to go. Right. You're starting off, here. The only thing you can do is soften them up, which is
you have a place to go. It's called bait and
doesn't
switch. That's where they're going.
I guess I don't like it. So moving things along. So you got they jump. She gets the code. She figures that shit out. Yeah, you're clever. They leave the city through some trap door kind of shit. Blair, and they're just making their way through tunnels, more helicopters. You're getting the whole vibe of there's constant motion around the city, making sure it's safe. And then the guard who Joel was making the drug deal with earlier is peeing on a wall, and he turns around. He's like, "Guys, what are you doing here?"
I told you to. And I told you to stay inside.
It goes exactly, like you think it is, because the guard doesn't really give a shit about Joel, although he's a source, you'd think he would. But then he pulls his gun on them, and you get the flashback to Joel's daughter. And he was not going to let this happen again.
Well, yeah,
and he rushes the guy.
Well, because he was doing that little scan thing, and then we see
that's
green.
Right. Yes.
And then we see green. And then when he goes to do Ellie,
that's right. Yes, you see red.
No, you don't see red.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. No, we didn't see it. We didn't see it. Yes,
you hear him going, "Oh shit!" And then Joel's like, "She's not sick. She's not sick." And then his mind goes back to when his daughter was shot.
Yeah.
And again, survival mode.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. I forgot about the scan. Which you didn't know, and then so he's just doing what he thinks he's supposed to do, and then Tess, Joel beats the guy to death with his bare hands. Nice move. Not good for the hands though. But then Tess looks at her arm. She's like, she's infected, and
Right.
things wrap up really quick after that. They're basically, on the move. You don't really know what's going to happen. But then we go to the radio,
which
and then Never Let Me Down.
yes, which as a fan of 80s new wave, I'm like, okay, that's a key jangle. I'm fine with it.
So you know what that means now, though. You know it means trouble. But Joel and Tess and Ellie, for what she's worth, aren't there to hear it. It just happens. So that's the end of episode 1. And that was a great intro to all of this.
I enjoyed it.
All right,
again, knowing nothing of the world.
Right.
Yeah, and I think you should be. I think people are clear with it too. It's like Joker said. If you're just viewing it as entertainment, a TV show, it's a good first episode. Comparing it to the video game, I don't know. I doubt it'll be able to do everything they want to because of the direction they've changed as a company, Naughty Dog, since the first one to the second one, and now with HBO. So it's but it's also seen like where maybe HBO is just better at making this kind of content because we've seen Disney Plus is awful, Amazon is really hit or miss. So maybe it's just
they are, man.
But we've said like the Chernobyl guys, the showrunner on this, and he's really good. So like you can at least buy into these little scenarios that they're doing here. So,
and it's not like those of us who as I've stated multiple times, like whenever it comes to me personally, I like to try and stick close to canon as much as possible. It takes a lot for me. If you diverge from canon for me, you got to really try and win me over hard for me to like something. Like the first episode, like almost scene for scene, besides Ellie's personality weirdness, like it's pretty on par with the game. Like that was something that I did appreciate, is like some of the scenes, how they played out were pretty on par. Like in the first game, you kind of play as Sarah, you kind of see the world through her eyes, and they did that for the series. I liked that aspect of it.
No,
should watch Andor.
No, you should not. No, he should
not. I enjoyed them. I feel like that was kind of an attempt, which that we've gotten, like that's a better attempt than most anything else that we've gotten. Like I know when they did Cowboy Bebop, like,
Ooh.
No,
that was a big bag of shit. Nobody liked that.
Wow.
I don't know anyone who said, "Oh, it was all right."
You know who hated it?
It was even all right. Everybody hated that.
You know who hated it too?
Or Halo.
Cowboy Bebop. He actually came out and said he hated it.
Yeah, he did. And so like compared to like those two things, or of course there's like multiple others I could probably, if I was thinking clearly, Obi-Wan, like just so many things versus The Last of Us. Like I feel like as far as that first episode, the first package that we are giving by this company is like, okay, you changed a couple things, we can handle that, but you're doing okay.
Right.
Okay, so episode 2, it's funny. So I felt like a lot happened in episode 2, but it really didn't. I liked episode 2. It was a full episode, but we can zip through episode 2 pretty quick because go ahead, Joker.
Okay, so episode 2, much like episode 1, my favorite part was the intro. I liked that doctor, and
I loved that, man.
It gave me a sense of like of what was the film? Outbreak based on the novel Hot Zone. This is like I'm like oh, and then again when she pulls that just a sample of the fungus that was and then it starts to move and I'm like nope.
So many Ghiblies. So this episode, and so this is The Last of Us 2, episode 2, Infected, starts in Indonesia. It's 20 years ago. Back in
and when I hear that, and I'm like, oh, so that's a payoff now.
Yes.
So that little line that
you're
little
in Jakar, which is
right,
and this is great. It's just
well done.
A lady having her freaking lunch, man. She turns out to be a professor of mycology, Professor Rata. Rata?
Something like that.
Ratna.
Your guess is as good as ours.
Right.
Ratna. However it's pronounced.
I can call up my Indian friend and ask him how to pronounce it.
Indonesian people. So she's having her lunch, and these soldiers come in and they pick her up, and she doesn't know why. And on their car ride over, she's like, "Am I being arrested? Did I do something wrong?" And they're like, "You're Professor Ibu Ratna, mycologist at the University of Indonesia." She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "No, we got the right person." And they take her in and they want to show her this slide sample of the what's the
fungus
virus?
The fungus.
The cordyceps.
The cordyceps, yeah.
Cordyceps.
And she's like, "Yeah, this is cordyceps," kind of like,
okay, yeah,
fine. But then the guy's like, "This came from a human," and she's like, "That's impossible." She freaks the fuck out here, and I love this. So she goes in here though, and I had to cut the hell out of this slide to examine it, and she's going in a full viral suit, which is what you do if you're actually dealing with something that you can catch. I'm not talking to the modern world at all. So she's she's checking her out, and the guy's like, "Yeah, check out her ankle." And I don't know if I got a shot. I didn't get a shot of it.
And this guy, so because he is terrified. He has no clue, and he's like, "This is so out of our realm." He is just portraying. I am scared shitless.
Well, I liked how calm he was.
Yes.
All his statements were matter of fact.
Yeah, but
he wasn't like, right.
He wasn't freaking out, but freaking out.
Right. It just, I like this guy. He was very even keeled. His tone never changed, no matter what. He was just
until he hears one word. He hears one.
Oh yeah. So she's doing the autopsy, and he tells her to look at the ankle, and she cuts it open, and there's like this white kind of fibrous material in there. And then she goes for the mouth though. And I don't have it. God damn me. And in the mouth, just like in episode 1, you've got the freaking giblies coming out. That was it's an unnerving effect. It's a great effect, but it's an unnerving effect. Maybe that's why it's great. And so they sit down to have this conversation.
She has a cup of tea, and it's very nice.
And he's like, we need, she's like, "Where did this person come from?" She got bits, and then she attacked like 3 other people. And they had to kill the 3 other people. They brought them in for observation, ultimately had to kill them. There are 14 people missing from the factory where she works. And she asked where she was, and it was a flour factory.
Right.
Wheat factory. And she thought, she's basically the perfect growing environment for whatever this is. Because she, for the cordyceps.
But it's dry. It's dry wheat though. That was the weird thing.
Yeah,
a fungus can't really grow in dry wheat.
I don't know.
It just eats little things, we'll say.
I don't know why it's perfect. They needed to
now that I think about it, they would also a factory is, especially if they're drying stuff out, would be kind of very well lit. And fungus and molds, all they need to survive is the moisture and lack of
dark,
light.
wet environments. Yeah.
Yes. So
just like flaccid.
Oh, I'm not that dark, unless I'm in a dark room. We're all kind of dark at that point.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I apologize. I pulled this out. I pulled this out.
That out. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, yeah.
I mean, zombie mechanics. What you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta have something. So he tells her that, and then there's 14 people missing, and she's like, "Well, who bit the lady?" And they don't know. And now she's like, basically, we're fucked. And he's like, "Well, we need to get a virus. We need to get the medicine." She's like, there isn't anything for this. There is nothing for this. And he's like, "What do we do?" And this is where you have the flashback to episode 1 in the opening, where the guy's basically like, "We lose." She's like, bomb the city and everyone in it.
Yeah.
It's like, and there's like, whoa.
And I'm expecting some, pray, grab your families. No, just bomb. And I'm like, damn.
And that was, those 2 scenes are my favorite 2 scenes in the series.
Yes.
They just are. They are. And then we flash forward, to the present, where Ellie's sleeping on a bed of leaves
Grass.
and flowers and whatever the fuck it is, with Joel and Tess watching over her, like, is she going to turn into a mushroom? What's going on? Because they don't know. It's a stressful time.
Are we gonna have a toad moment?
You don't know. And Ellie's talking to her, basically trying to get the info out of her, but it was kind of funny though, because Ellie did say, Marlene said if I told anyone, she's going to kill me, and I'm literally telling the first people who asked the question. The scene was also funny because they're eating beef jerky, and she's got like this big fat chicken sandwich, which looks delightful. Because they apparently Marlene has better smugglers, but then she lets it out, the cat out of the bag, and Tess is more pragmatic initially about this than Joel is. I'm showing slides again. You guys are supposed to tell me when I'm not showing the slides.
I don't know what slides you have and do not have.
I'm a very aged man. Sometimes I'm watching the slides, I'm flipping through like everything's fine, but it's not. So we'll go back. So we had the wake up slide. We have the chicken sandwich, the big chicken sandwich slide. Chicken sandwich. And then we have Tess talking to Ellie.
That better be a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich.
It probably is not. But Tess is like, we're not good people. He wants to shoot you. You need to tell us what's going on. And then she does tell, she wants me to get, there's some doctors who are trying to work on a cure for this. And this is where Joel does freak out a little. He's like, I've heard this thing before. Yes, which he almost makes the joke about the girl who's the key to everything. But Tess is more pragmatic, and she's like, what does it really matter? We get her where she needs to go. We get what we need. Again, transactional relationships, and things move on as they should. And he's like, all right, fucking fine. But they're keeping a close eye on her because he's like, she's going to change. One of the lines he does say is he's like, stop talking to her like she's going to be alive, which was, it's a heavy line, to the kid. Basically, she's going to die and it's going to be something horrible. We're probably going to have to kill her. And that's the way that I think he's just is looking at her. It's another thing he's going to have to do that he doesn't want to do. But Tess is like I said, the pragmatic one. And I really loved this scene when they came out of the bunker into destroyed Boston. I just thought it looked great.
So, real quick, did they really explain why they have to go through this particular area? Because I know Zach's, I remember when I was talking to him about it, he said it felt very like video game like. And I remember him saying that before I watched the episode, so I was kind of on my mind. And as I was watching it, it did remind me, this kind of does feel like a video game. That they're like, yeah, we got to go down this path. It doesn't seem like there's really a direction, like logically
they need
they're going.
to get to the State House.
Okay.
So it's a matter of how you get to the State House. And that's
Gotcha.
what it was.
So it is like a video game.
Well, it's probably because of the layout of the city, and Tess and Joel have been out there before, so they know kind of the go and no-go areas in the city based on what they've experienced.
Yeah, I mean, that was the walking through was like the weakest part, but in these walking scenes, you can get some decent exposition as long as it doesn't hit you over the head, because they talk about the pancake thing in this scene, and that's exactly what kind of draws in some small detail. They talk about the beginning of episode 1 when he wanted pancakes for his birthday, and she didn't make pancakes, they didn't have the batter for it. So if they were maybe to have pancakes, maybe they would have been caught by this disease, right? Because that's what it said. The flour or other kind of grains are what infected everybody all at once.
I also appreciate that it explains why the city is so jacked up. Like when I first saw this, I was like, what, the mushrooms eat these buildings or what? But then they were like, no, we bombed. All the major cities were bombed.
We haven't seen that yet. She gets to that pretty soon. Yeah, we haven't got actually that full explanation yet. We make assumptions, but you're right. So they had two ways they could go, the short way and the long way. And they go in through this hotel And when they get here, the lobby is all flooded. There's like lily pads and shit there, and there's this water. And I'm thinking, nope, I'm not getting in there. But Joel goes in anyway because that's his job. And he tells and she can't swim. He's like, look, he's like, look, it's knee deep. And she's like, oh, I didn't know. Then she starts being a kid, and I actually found this kind of annoying. She's ringing the bell, pretending to check into the hotel. And I guess that was out of the game, which I didn't see, so I can't talk about it.
But it's such a departure from what we've seen of her.
Because she's a shithead. She is a shithead from moment one to the end. She's still a shithead, but she's being a regular kid there, doing regular kid stuff. So it's hard to juxtapose the two versions of this character that we're seeing. She is not playful. She hasn't been playful since we met her. And now she's being like a playful kid. All right, fine. So they get to the point where they're supposed to be able to go through.
In her defense, she's not chained up to a radiator anymore.
Well, okay. Well,
it's a win. It's a win.
We did see her play with a knife as well. Just
so in this, she's tossing the knife up and down. Well,
she's gonna be Sicilian.
But they're supposed to be going to go through where this is, but there's been a collapse. So now Tess has to go up and try to find a way to this door so they can go out in this big patio thing. But as they're sitting there, she's tossing the knife, and this another annoying comment though. He's like, "Where'd you learn to do that?" And she's like, "The circus." All right, fine. And then she starts asking questions. Where are you from? He's from El Paso. Where's she from? Detroit. It's in Michigan. And he's like, because Ellie asked where is Tess from, and he's like, Detroit. It's in Michigan. She's like, we have schools. And again, it's the way she phrases her answers that is, for me, entirely off-putting.
Agreed.
It could have been a chance for them to talk for a minute, and she's just being a real shithead. But they do talk about how long the critters last. And I thought this was interesting because some only last for a couple of months, some are still out there from the origin, the original day.
Roman, I was going to say, you said, she is obnoxious every time she delivers these lines, and I agree with that, but I think it's more so aggravating because I don't think they want the audience to hate her as much as we do watching her,
right?
Because that's the issue.
They're not winning on that point,
right? So if the point is for her to come off as an insufferable bitch, check. I got it. I'm on that page, but I don't think they are. That's the problem, right?
Right. Because I think so if I remember correctly, she is still a kid, but she does have a smart mouth. And there should be a balance. She shouldn't just be an outright like a bitch to everybody. She shouldn't be doing that. She's a kid, but she's going to be a little bit of a smartass sometimes. But I think they turned that, they kind of cranked it up, and they kind of accidentally left the meter too high for the smartass comments. Just tone it back a little bit.
Not good.
Yes, we needed to be like a 5 or 6.
So they can't go the route that they want to because there's a bunch of freaking of the critters down there, and I'll pull this off for a second so we can talk about that. So they're on a balcony and they're looking down. They see go ahead.
My
Matt.
biggest pet peeve with most zombie post-apocalyptic fiction, which by the way, Mad Max is the opposite of. You remember some of the scenes we saw. Where are the bears and the wolves and the mountain lions and all the things that man has to keep killing? Otherwise, they would just murder us left and right. Those should all have massively repopulated.
Well, can they though, or would this virus be able to infect them too? I would assume it would.
If
right?
the virus could
If it
infect us,
it should be able
would
to
be
infect them.
extinct. There's nothing short of military hardware that's going to stop a bear. Like I hate to go off on bears because I will, but like a grizzly bear, if it were outside my apartment, could literally walk through my walls like they're not there. The ridiculous things people do to stop just one bear. And now imagine if all the bears in North America got infected with a fungus that made them want to eat people. Like we would know it hit us. So
unless the fungus
can't infect animals. I'm going to ask a question because I don't know, and I hope somebody out there chat as well. Does the virus infect animals in the game?
I have no clue.
I don't remember.
I don't recall that it did, but my point is, in this show, it doesn't. So there should be much more wildlife danger. It's a realism thing to me.
No, you're right, especially in a part of the country they're in.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
think-
correct.
I think not what's the oh god the movie with Will Smith, that post-apocalyptic zombie
I am
film
Legend.
where
I am Legend. Yeah.
I'm Legend. Yeah, that there was some the wildlife involved in that.
Yeah, everything got infected.
Right. I think so. Just kind of, this would be me, like in my brain justifying why there wouldn't be animals there. Like, say so when the virus or the fungus infects humans, humans want to eat other humans. Would that maybe not also apply to other species? Like that species would want to eat others of its own kind? Maybe that's just my thinking of like, if it affected a bear, it would go after another bear versus a human or.
This might explain why that dog was so had no wanting to go anywhere near this stuff, that animals might sense that, okay, no, this is bad, let's avoid.
Because I mean, like in the natural world, like say a zebra, like the herd members can tell if a zebra is infected with something,
Right.
and they're just gonna back away.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know.
But
We don't
That's
know.
just my thoughts.
So they're looking down
Well,
and they
okay,
see
so let me-
all the
let's go.
zombie.
Let me keep it like we see the effective nature of reabsorbing the buildings with trees and whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we see the animals reclaiming the space? It seems not like
No, I don't
logical.
I don't disagree with you.
I'm not saying
I
that
think that's
bears
a whole-
bears
with
aren't
you.
eating people. I'm saying like they go halfway with the nature reclaiming, and then don't show you all of nature reclaiming it. It takes me out of anything when I see stuff like that. I'm like, why couldn't someone just like write the setting properly? You know?
Thank you, Nas. Thanks. That's hot. That's hot. So God, I feel weird all of a sudden. So anyway, they're looking at the balcony, and they see all the zombie things laying out in the sun, or laying out there. When the sun hits
Oh,
them,
yeah.
they all kind of roll in a wave.
That's
And
unnerving. That's unnerving.
It was creepy. It was another very good effect. But Ellie asked what that is, and she's like, are they all connected? She's like, yeah, and Tess like, yeah, but it's worse
That's
than you
a hive
think.
mind.
And this is where the vine thing comes in. And I guess the vine thing wasn't in the game, so they can't
No,
talk about it.
it's
but I
not
play
in the game. And this is where I have a little bit of a concern that if you do something to one zombie and a mile away, all the rest of them know what you're doing. Quickly, if you start making it work one way and
Yeah.
then it doesn't work the same the next time, even though it's the same situation, but for plot reasons, then it starts getting out of control. Whereas I understand why they did it, because if it's spores, then everyone's running around wearing a mask, and
Yes.
you can't see the
It's
actor's
impractical
face.
for filming.
Right. But they have to walk a line with that, because they can screw this up real easy.
So she explains about the vine thing, which Shieldwall just talked about. They can they run miles underground, and the zombies
board.
on one side know what's going on.
It's like a
So
board
they
almost.
you're right, yeah, the hive mind. So they have to go through, and I almost did it again. It's the Museum of Boston, or something of that nature. Anyway, they got to go
Sorry,
through this
one
museum to
point.
get to the Capitol.
Back to what?
Well, sorry, one point. No, I was just gonna say this whole like network thing. There's something that happens in the next episode that they just again same thing, like plot device kind of thing. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Just to keep it in the back of your mind.
I got you.
And Vex, I don't remember the vine thing being part of any of the games. Was that a game thing?
It's
No.
not a
No.
game thing at all. It's something they replaced the spores with it because they didn't think they could effectively do the spores in the show.
Okay, well then that I don't have a problem so much with that.
I don't have a problem with it
You
either.
can't have actors running around with gas masks.
Right. I don't have a
doesn't
problem
work.
with it either. I
You
think
need-
it works. It's just
Right.
they have to be careful, because if they just start going willy-nilly with it, it'll quickly get out of control, and people will be like, well, that's a plot hole. That's a plot hole. And,
Exactly, which we already see happen in episode 3 anyways.
Right.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. And then
Yeah, we're gonna get there soon. We're gonna, because there isn't actually a whole lot left of this.
Right.
Which it's kind of is what it is. So they're making their way through the museum. They see a dude who's all chewed up, and
And he's fresh. He's fresh.
yeah, he's newly ripped up, And the kid talks about she'd never seen something, I saw them before and this doesn't look like anything, whatever did this wasn't what I saw. Okay. So we're going to see something new. And they're going up a stairwell. There's kind of bodies around. It doesn't look nice. And they open a door to what looks to be like just a clean room. It's not full of debris. It's not full of bullshit. It just looks like a clean room. They go in there. As soon as they go in though, everybody's in, and behind them on the stairwell, the ceiling collapses. And this makes a lot of freaking noise. And then they're just walking through trying to be quiet. And then we start hearing the noise. And again, it's an unnerving, unnatural noise. The clickers.
Wait, why do I hear a clicker right now? Is somebody doing something?
What? No, that's you. And then we meet these lovely, beautiful creatures. They can't see because the mushroom has basically gone through their head at this point. So they rely on sounds, like bats do. What is it? Matt, what's it called?
Sonar.
Echolocation.
Echolocation.
There you go.
And that's how they find things. So they're trying to go through this room. Things go awry quickly. And there's a couple of these fungus head things running around. Oops, I only have one slide for that. Tess plants an axe in one of them, which is lovely. It's a what the fuck? Sorry. Again,
Poor Roman.
it's me pressing something wrong. But it's a fun action-packed scene where they're hacking up the mushroom head things. But at the end of it, they come out and everybody kind of checks themselves, and fucking the kid got bit again. And I thought that was hilarious. She's like, well, I guess if it had to be anyone. And then Joel's like, oh my God. But Tess has a sprained ankle, and he's wrapping that up. And Tess is like, can't you just take the win for what it's worth? And she gets pretty mad at him. And then she yells at him, I've got it. And then they get ready to cross over to the other building.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever this is, what am I doing that is doing that? Why do I do the things that I do? Escape? Okay. To get to the capital.
Right.
And like I said, it seems like a lot goes on here, but it's a pretty quick moving episode. So
Right.
they get to the Capitol, though. And when they pull up in front, there's one of the big armored vehicles that is supposed to be for the Fireflies. Nobody's in it. There's a body outside. There's blood. It's clearly some bad shit has happened here.
Right.
And they go in, and I actually like this scene a lot. Everybody's just on the floor. Someone got bit, and then everybody just went hog wild with the guns.
Right.
Which makes sense, though. They're all because trust is a hard thing to come by, even with people who you like. And it falls apart quickly in situations like this. But the Capitol is obviously a Firefly depot of some kind. That's not nice, Sim. That wasn't meant to make me feel good. But there's a lot of there's fuel in here, there's ammo in here.
Right.
There's just a lot of shit. So Joel's like freaking out there. He's like, it's over. It's done. This was our
Game over, man. Game over.
Yes, very similar vibe. And then Tess is like, because he's like, we're gonna go home, and Tess is like, that's not my home, and she just gets real tense, and she's like, I'm not going back. But then the kid realizes she's been bit.
It's because she broke the first rule. If any of you are with me and you break that rule, I'm gonna be mad. You better tell me when you get bit, not try to hide it. That's how it always happens. Try to hide it, and they let you in the compound, and game over.
But she used it for good in this case, though, because she sacrificed herself. She didn't just,
Ultimately, yes, she went on as long as she could.
Good. And
so go ahead. I want to talk amongst yourselves. Someone had too much of the sponsors wine before the show.
Fun, nice. Yeah. Okay. Go
ahead, Joker voice. Sorry, I'm on a little bit of a delay. That's why we keep talking over each other, I think.
Oh, no worries. Okay, so this was one of these things where I'm like, okay, of course, Ellie knew. And I guess because she got bit and has some knowledge of what that goes through. Okay, cool. I get that. The part where she's getting ready to sacrifice herself and she's knocking over the barrels and everything, and then Joel is like, okay, let's go. And Ella's like, no, we can't leave her. You know what's going to happen to her. Yeah, you leave her. There's nothing you can do. You're not a cure yet. And when the one infected comes up and reinfects even more, I'm like,
Yeah, he'll have
gross.
that picture, I'm sure.
And then the Zippo just constant the Zippo.
That part was dumb. She should have just had a grenade and pulled the pin. But
Yeah,
I like
exactly,
that. I like that they let her be the one to sacrifice. Of course, it's the way in the game, but they're partners. You know what I mean? Like, she's not. Some people might say in the show she's a little smarter than he is and kind of leads him around a little bit. I kind of didn't really see that. I felt like he just doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, he's so
I thought
Sigma.
of her as his moral compass. He is a man who is so jaded. He's at the wall of literally not giving a fuck anymore.
It's not that he couldn't lead, it's just he doesn't care to. So he's letting her do it all. But he cares enough about her. She's competent. She isn't just like, I'm the bestest ever. And she makes a sacrifice at this point that's worthy. It's like, you know what I mean?
Hold on. I think she's proven to be incompetent so far, if anything. When we're introduced to her, she's getting the shit kicked out of her because she doesn't know how to play a situation right.
But what I mean is she knows,
Vex going for the throat.
She knows you know what I mean? She knows her way around the city. They talk about things as a partner. It's like, which way do you think we should go? Well, if we go this way, we do this, and then they make the decision. She isn't just leading him around by the nose, and she's not just sitting in the back letting him do everything. Is she? When I say competent, I mean she's not constantly getting in danger, and he's got to save her, or vice versa.
Oh, well, yeah, that's just more of a symptom of like they've been in this world for like 20 years now, right? So to survive this long, you have to have your shit together. It's respect.
I buy their relationship. I like the relationship. I think the actress did a great job.
I love this actress.
I also didn't expect her, again, remember, I didn't play the game. I did not expect to see Tess leave this soon.
Right.
I was really sad to see her go.
Just going in, most people would be like, she's going to lead him around like little Leia did Kenobi, and he's going to hang out in the back. But that's, not what happens. So.
Right. And like, because we keep bringing up Kenobi, and like, so I feel like also like the people dying constantly in
and like mushrooms in your salad.
No, I don't like mushrooms at all. The moral of this story: don't eat mushrooms.
And it's just a scene from Weekend at Flacid's.
Right.
This is decent foreplay. I'm into it.
Yeah. Yep.
So this was a weird addition.
Smash or pass on fungus zombie.
Oh, that's a hard smash.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard smash, and he has respect for boundaries. She's giving him the fuck me eyes the whole time.
Yeah,
right.
She basically called him over when she looked at him. She looked at him, and he was like, "All right, I guess we're." Oh,
this was so uncomfortable to watch.
He didn't want to do it. She's just the one. It's basically begging for it, right?
Yeah.
Oh my
God.
Was
asking for it.
Wow.
You're right though. Why didn't she just grab a grenade? There were a lot of grenades available. Yeah. She went with old Zippo, the unreliable, and she
build the tension. Build the tension.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I also wonder if they're
No.
Yeah.
Because in the games, right, they're all living hosts. That's the only way the fungus is able to survive. Yes. But here, it's. I mean, the line is kind of blurred, but it's implied that they're living. So I wonder if this is something that will come back into play later to try and humanize them a little bit more.
Yeah, something. But it
certainly didn't in episode 3.
Yeah. And so like I guess like my point, like for Ellie being who she is later on in life, like it makes sense. Like there's probably been tons of people in her life when she gets to later on at that point that she grew attachments to, that they all died. And so like it makes sense later on in her life for her to be
Wait, do
It make-
vampires count as zombies though? Or is that a class
there
of
is
their
a
own?
debate. There's a debate about that. And so like just this early on though, like it doesn't make sense. Like, of course, maybe like by episode 5, I can understand like if they kind of switched her character around, like by episode 5, like so she's already seen, you know, like Tess die and like the people who are with her die and all of these, like all this death around her. Of course, like eventually, but like I said, by episode 5, you should start to see her turn into this jaded person. But yeah, like we know nothing about her backstory at this point in time.
This is one of the things that pissed me off about season 3. I don't mean to jump the gun here or anything, but if you're going to take a full episode to flesh out a story, this is right after you like Joel clearly the way he reacts at the end of this episode, it's clear he's taking this hard. And we learned throughout episode 3 that they've been together for at least 10 years.
Yeah, a long time.
You'd think if you're going to spend an entire episode this early on fleshing out a story, it would be her backstory because we just lost her.
Also,
I would have 100% Vex rather seen that. You know, you could sew the beginning and the end the same, but you could have gone back following Joel and Tess for those years, and that would have made a lot more sense than what we got.
And that's a question I had.
Instead, all we get is, "Don't bring her up ever again."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and docking.
So she blows herself up. She kills all the critters, and the kid's standing here, you know, like a marmot, just waiting. You know, she's like, "Oh, all right, I guess that's it." So, it was. I like the episode. Like I said, it feels like a lot happens, but really not much happens in the episode. If you break it down to brass tacks, they got into the city. They got, you know, some shit happened. She got bit. She died. Nothing happened the way it was supposed to. But then she does talk about taking the kid to go see Bill and Frank, because now that, you know, the contacts are lost now. Bill and Frank are part of the network. So that's probably what her thought process were, to get the kid to them. And then, you know, they got the radio and they can probably branch out from there. I'm guessing, I'm filling in, but I think that's probably the thoughts.
So I want to ask the gamers here. So do you think this was do you think this was kind of a rush to get Ellie and Joel together as just those two, where they could have spent some time to build up to it just being Ellie?
The problem
and
with
Joel.
the problem with the game is you spend a lot of time walking around collecting resources and fighting stuff, because, you know, it's a game. You want to like kill shit and you got to collect things to upgrade your character to make better, because you can like increase the number of bullets your gun can hold and all that kind of stuff, and how many med packs you can make and all that. So there's that component of it where you have to spend time wandering the world and, you know, fighting monsters and getting loot, whereas that would not serve this show well at all. No one wants to see them fighting endless.
No one wants to see side quests. They want to see the main quest.
Right.
I didn't want to see episode 3.
So this
almost its
that
entirety.
was a side quest.
It was a side quest.
But it wasn't a side quest. It was just a side story that had so little to do with the actual story.
You'd be surprised how many side quests have nothing to do with the main story, and it is so annoying sometimes.
Right.
Mandalorian.
But here's the thing about Joel and Tess. They never really come out and say it, but were they smashing?
So
almost certainly.
Yeah, it's more implied that they have a romantic relationship. Here, it's just kind of like, oh, we're occasional fuck buddies kind of thing. Is the vibe
or
that
they used to, like a long time ago, and then kind of don't know more, because
now just have like a general partnership.
Right.
But it's not implied that there's any romance here, whereas you got that in the games.
Right.
So
Okay. Because for me, Tess is a smash. Just saying.
Oh yeah.
I love Anna Torv. I've loved Anna Torv for years. I loved her in Fringe. I loved her in Mindhunters.
Hey,
Mindhunter.
Roman,
Yeah.
calm down. It's not a contest, okay?
What?
You can have her first if you really want to.
Not that way, Joker voice. Not the fungus face.
Maybe
Cthulhu.
one of the other things like to consider like when adapting like a game to live action like this, like in the game, like it can for a lot of people who maybe like to do side quests and like to do all those little bitty main things, that what we call grinding. You're grinding levels to try and get the
I'm sorry. There wasn't a way I wasn't going to laugh at that phrase.
Yep.
I apologize. I'm immature.
So,
I'm an immature person.
and so like on sometimes you can play like a character and you feel like you've been with that character forever, even though like in the actual main storyline it's maybe like a day or two in actuality, but you've been like so busy gathering other resources for like hours upon hours upon hours. Like it's like, oh yeah, I've been with these characters for years now.
A good example is in Fallout 4. There's a storyline and you have to go find your son. And you're supposed to go to this one place to do it. I played in-game over a year time passed in-game before I even started to look for my son. I went and did everything else there was to do.
Mm-hmm.
So thematically, it was totally unrealistic. The first thing you should have did was, oh, my son's still alive. Let me go find him and do your thing. But I didn't do any of that. I went and did all of the side quest content. And it literally over a year in game before I started looking for my son.
Oh my
so
God.
I was immensely powerful by then too.
Nah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Like these side quests, I mean, the time eater, so to speak. Like I was thinking about this when I started playing World of Warcraft again, and I was looking at my characters played and all that. I spent more time playing my World of Warcraft character in the last 15 years than I spent with my mother.
Yeah,
wow.
it can, but
it just adds up. Like
it does.
You're like, I'll just log in for an hour and get a quest done, or
depending on the context, that's a good thing.
And it just adds up, and then oh, hey mom, I haven't spoken to you for 3 weeks. How you doing?
But all that to say, like it's hard to translate that to to cinema.
Okay.
Because you have to add more quote unquote filler that the game built into itself.
Did that in this episode, there was a lot of filler.
This is where I feel like
I
they
don't mean
fucked
that
up
as a
the first
euphemism.
episode, though.
There was a lot of being filled.
They could have. I feel like they put Joel off on the wrong step as well. Because I don't know about you guys, but I did not like his interaction with Sarah at all. Even like, just take the video game out of the picture. It didn't feel like a father-daughter relationship. It felt really weird and really awkward. That's just how I got it, right? Okay. And then on top of that, I felt like they could have made him, if they had made him a more sympathetic father figure, I think we would be able to connect with him a little bit more, and we wouldn't need these kind of filler episodes. That's just my perspective watching it.
Yeah.
I disagree. I believed the moment with him and Sarah, especially toward the end.
And that's where they got it actually spot on from the game. It's when the outbreak actually happens, but everything leading up to that, I was like, what?
Okay,
it seems like his mom more than his daughter.
People who played the game or think of the game in the primary have a way different reaction to this than people who never did.
Okay,
you're seeing it right here with these two panel members, and you're going to see it all throughout. And like leaving aside wokeism and Pedro asshole Pascal over there, you leaving those aside, you're gonna have that with because here's the thing: the guy who wrote the game wrote the show, so clearly he's working from the same set of notes and he's making changes because he thinks, well, maybe what I could do in the game versus what I can do in the show.
Well, that's the problem with Neil Druckmann, though, is that he took everything in the first game did well and completely undid it in the second game because of his political belief system. So even his own script is flawed.
As I said,
aside the woke part, I'm just talking about the translation from first game to the show. Like, so you can hear the dichotomy in how the people are responding to it. The question is, when we get to, I don't know, let's say episode 8, let's say, is it just gonna be like what he did with the second game, where it just goes?
You're right. We have no idea. You don't, because episode 3, if that's now our
template,
then we're screwed. As an audience.
I mean, the very first thing I look for with any one of these shows now is the bait and switch. So I am, if I see the bait and switch by the end of this, there won't be
I was
me
waiting
watching
for this whole time
2.
too. I went in waiting for it.
So
I would like to add, though, I haven't seen Pedro Pascal in anything at all, and I don't buy him in this role. I'm not digging him in this role.
Mandalorian.
I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I haven't watched any of that. No.
What?
Oberyn Martell.
In Game of Thrones, he's
Game of
saying.
Thrones.
I didn't watch Game of Thrones either.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Who are you?
I haven't seen Game of Thrones either.
Are we friends, Vex?
Vex, I got you. I haven't seen it either. Well, my thing is like I don't, because I've been burned one too many times by different anime and manga. I don't watch things that I don't know aren't finished, because too often I have been like, oh, this is so good, and then the author just stops, and I'm just left hanging. So that's why I like Game of Thrones. I just can't, because I just know there's no real ending.
And you know where that last season goes now because of all the outcry, right? It's hard for me to want to get into it.
Let's dive into episode 3.
Okay.
Joel,
there'll be a lot of diving in more ways than one.
Ew. Oh my. Joel and Ellie are having a conversation. So they're wandering around. He's stacking rocks. No one gives a shit. But then they get back to
stacking rocks. That was meant to be a monument to Tess.
Right.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
What a dick.
Smash.
What a dick.
Exactly.
It's a Native American. It's a Karen or Karen. And
yeah,
Karen. Meant to be like, like a respectful, a symbol of respect or something.
Right. A lot of
cultures
do that. A lot of cultures.
I just thought he was stacking rocks. I thought he was bored. He had some time. Clearly not the right take. Roman,
who stacks rocks when they're bored?
Kids do.
I don't know. Well, he can't watch TV, so I don't know what he's doing out there in the freaking woods.
He was
okay.
He might have taken a crap. You don't know what he was doing.
Okay. To everyone out there in the internet that is dead, we meant no disrespect.
Sorry, I seriously thought he was just stacking rocks. Anyway, so we jump ahead to their camp. He's got some bag of food. He throws it at the kid. And she in this scene, actually, she's a jerk, but less so. She's like, you and Tess chose to come on this journey. You knew it was dangerous. You knew, the possible outcomes. I don't want to get blamed for something that is not my fault.
Valid.
Okay.
But you still
she's still a little shit. So he nods. He's like, all right, fine, fuck it, fine.
I got a quick question. Is she still eating that chicken sandwich? That thing's got to be bad by now.
It's getting funky. It's now the funky chicken sandwich.
It now has a fungus on it. It has a fungus now.
Oh, but she's immune, so it doesn't matter if she's eating funky.
Oh yeah, that's
right.
Well, I don't think her intestines are probably immune though. She needs some Imodium. So they start walking. She's like, how long? He's like, we got about 5 miles to get where we're going. And their destination is a whatnot convenience store place where he stored some shit because that's what you got to do. But actually, I'm sorry. No, we get this is what happens.
Yeah, that's in the
we get to the convenience store. Not a lot happens. They dig around. She goes off on like her own side quest, which I found super annoying and stressful. Well, he's looking for because he can't remember where he stashed his shit. So she wanders off, and I'm like, bro, you haven't been here in a long time. You have no idea what is in this place. It's like everything wrong in a horror movie. And then she finds a trap door. She goes down into a sub basement where she's fucking around. And then she hears clickety clackety, and she sees, Bob the fungus zombie trapped under some rocks.
Is that his name in the show?
It is. That's how it was actually.
Okay.
called.
Yeah,
I didn't look at the
In the
IMDb
post-credits,
see what
you
this
know?
guy was credited. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's-
Oh, this guy has a long IMDb page.
I just like to point
This-
out this was a weird scene for a couple reasons. Okay.
Go ahead.
She
Go
goes-
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
she
'cause
goes
I'll
and
go
she-
off on this thing.
Okay, she goes up to this. Okay, well, first of all, this is what I meant about the vine, the what's it called, the vines or whatever that connect
Right,
all the
yep.
fungi. If this guy's been trapped here, wouldn't that have given more than enough time for him to connect
Well,
to maybe others, and then that would put Joel and Ellie in
maybe.
a poor situation?
Now it's hard to say in this world. Maybe he was like the only dude working there.
But
I
they're
don't
being
know. You know
intentionally
what?
cautious, right? Like he's aware that there are other things. Like he even alludes to that in some of the conversation they have. So he knows that this is not a safe area by any
Right.
means,
Right.
which is kind of
Um,
weird.
I was thinking the exact same thing, Vex, when this happened. Well, a couple of things. First
I'm trying
off,
to justify it.
she finds a secret basement that him and Tess never found, apparently. Although it was obviously right there on the floor. I mean,
Mhm.
anybody could have found that. She goes in, it's creepy and dark in there, and there's no way back up. I'll just jump down in here. There couldn't possibly
Yes,
be
it'll be
anything here.
fine.
Then,
It'll be
The fungus
fine.
powers.
then she goes in there, and then this guy, and then I'm like, okay, how the hell did this guy get trapped under all this shit? Like,
He
that
also
doesn't
doesn't
make any
look like
sense.
he's super
Well,
old.
well, in defense of the show, Shieldwall, we've never seen her use logic up to this point. So
Oh,
for you to expect her to use it now is kind of unrealistic.
True.
So and so
Placid is
I'm
100%
willing to,
correct.
but I like the show, so I'm willing to roll with it. I can say, okay, who knows how this happened, but and then she's down here and she does her little thing with her knife and
This
stuff.
is
Her little
this is
serial
where
killer
that's
like
weird,
Dog.
y'all.
Psychotic?
Yeah.
I thought she was gonna go for the eye and be like, I want to see how it pops,
What
and-
is she doing?
So this is what I found was weird, right? Is because we've gotten this whole weird, like badass, I want to gun Ellie and all this stuff, right? And then instead of just stabbing him in the head, she gets this weird, creepy look in her eye, and she cuts his forehead open. And you see all the little cordyceps thingies in there,
Yeah.
and then she stabs him. And then it's almost like symbolic that she finds a box of unused tampons in the background as well.
Right.
That
Well,
was just
yeah.
the cherry on top of it. She's
And-
penetrating a dude and he's bleeding, and there's the tampons.
So she's a psychopath basically, which growing up in a world like this, maybe it's understandable.
So
I-
one of these
I
those
just-
HBO.
oh,
sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
I
I was
just-
gonna say like one of the. Go ahead.
I just want to say the makeup work on this is just next level.
Mhm.
Oh, it is. The makeup is great. Yes, 100%. The scene
Okay,
is
now
stupid.
that's-
The makeup is
Oh.
fantastic.
No, in one of those like, because you know how HBO runs those like after the show or whatever thingies.
Mhm.
So apparently in the one after the first episode, the scene at the end of the first episode where you see Joel beating that dude in, and then it zooms in on Ellie's face for a brief second there.
Yes,
Was
she's
us
creepy as
She was getting
was
turned
us
on by
learning
it.
that she's actually bloodthirsty. So now
Yes.
this is that bloodthirst coming out onto the screen now.
Right.
Again,
She's
and
a
this is
little
weird
weirdo.
because they completely undo it like 2 minutes later when they're walking down the road, or try to
Yeah.
at least.
They try to. You're right, and then but it doesn't. So she's ultimately she stabs a fungus zombie Bob in the head, and then she never mentions it though.
no.
Then
she's
she goes
crazy.
up. Joel's packing up the shit.
Roman, real quick,
yeah.
if you saw a zombie like that, what would you do to it?
I'd make a sandwich.
You make a sandwich?
See, now I kind of get where Ellie like.
Nice
Except for I
mushroom
wouldn't do it with a
sandwich.
knife. I'd poke it with a stick.
I
I'd like give me like a
More
stick
sense.
and just like what does
He's
it
not
do?
going anywhere.
So, right. Knowing
He's not a
the
threat.
knowing the whole the carpet fungus thing and how it can talk to stuff, because I don't know if like him just seeing her will convey that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Or do you
no,
gotta
it's
like
clearly
contact him and like bash him in the head and stuff, and
I
like
would
kind of
start a
agitate
fire.
him.
I would start a fire.
Yep. Burn, baby.
Well,
burn.
she needs to tell Joel, and then Joel can take care of the problem. Is what should
Oh.
happen.
Or she
'Cause
could have at least just mentioned it because this guy's her caretaker now. Like,
Well, that
what
would
is
be
she
if-
never-
if
she
we weren't
never
heading for a
mentions
bait and
it, though.
switch.
yeah.
She just goes
that's
back
what-
upstairs, and then they
I,
leave.
I thought this shot was cool.
It's a cool shot.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and she asked him about flying, and he's like, "Yeah, it wasn't fantastic." She's like, "Are you kidding? It's like magic." Of course, in her world, to her, someone who has never experienced it, it is.
And
And actually, this little montage is pretty good. Them walking down the road.
And I
Right,
was
and
waiting
then
for the kids to come out going, Walker.
Oh God!
Make it
No, Thunderdome.
But doesn't this kind of remind you or kind of make you appreciate how far our civilization has advanced where people are like, oh, yeah, you could just go up in the air? And you're like, yeah, it was a pain in the ass, though. Like, you're sitting in
Yeah,
coach.
you
But it's
take
like,
your
no,
shoes
dude,
off.
do you even just realize how awesome that is? We can literally travel through air, you know?
Well, they could do that 1,000 years ago, but you'd be in a catapult and it wouldn't end very well.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So they're walking, and this is actually where you get before you get to this spot, which I'll pull off for just 1 second so we can talk about their road trip. They're actually having a conversation. Well, they start to, because she asked him about the scar in his head, and he's like, "Yeah, it was a guy who shot at me, and he missed." And she's like, "Did you shoot back?" He's like, "Yeah, but I missed too. It happens more than you think." And she says something so fucking annoying here. She's like, "Are you just a bad shot, or are you just suck at Are you just a bad shot, or do you also just suck at life?" Something like that. It was a real fucking off-putting comment.
A Gen Z joke, basically.
And it really annoyed me. It's like he just lost his,
Partner.
love interest, best friend, whatever. And you're making snide, shitty comments. Nobody likes you. I hope something heavy falls on you. But as they're walking, she does ask, how did it start? And he's like, "I thought you went to school." She's like, "Well, the crappy government that couldn't prevent the pandemic didn't teach us this."
Well, at least she acknowledges that public schools are shitty. So I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah, they don't get better in the future.
They know they're exactly the same, apparently. So she, this is supposed to be the now. So she asked him how it got started, and he does relay from, the common man's standpoint what we think happened, because he doesn't know. We think the cordyceps mutated, got into the food chain, and, things let loose on Friday, and by Monday it was all gone. Okay, got it. Then he wants to go off the road and up here because he doesn't want her to see something. She's like, "Is it dangerous?" He's like, no. And then she's like, "Well, you should have told me it was dangerous." Okay, fine, whatever. But then they come across the mass grave, and I did like this scene a lot because I liked his explanation of it. Because he said, they would round up the survivors and take them to the quarantine zones if they had enough room. And if they didn't, she's like, "They weren't sick?" He's like, "No." And she's like, "Well, why didn't they just let them go then?" And he's like, "Oh, because the dead can't spread the infection."
Right.
It is a crappy, pragmatic reality that they had to face. The more people that are running around out there, the more people that can get infected. And it's not a clean, polished solution. It's a bad solution to a worse problem. And it's like I said, I'm not trying to justify this, but I do understand why it happened.
It's like they wanted to do in Outbreak. They wanted to basically just like nuke a small town.
Yes, 100% correct. I mean, it is. It's like I said, a bad solution to a worse problem. But then you get the flashback with this, and this is where the episode really got fun for me for about 5 minutes, or maybe 3 minutes.
If you were in the Navy at any point in your life, you'll love this episode.
That's not funny. That's not funny at all. It wasn't meant to make me feel good. Wait, what the fuck, Nosferatu? Roman turning into a villain before our very eyes? Me? The logistics are cold. No, Steven, you're right. So we do the flashback, and let me pull this off for a second. I don't know what my next slide is. Oh no, okay. My next slide jumps ahead too far. So you're in the town back in 2003. You see that woman and her baby. That's who that is. And they're getting onto a truck because they're going to a QZ. Not going to a QZ.
No.
But the military is rounding up everybody in the town. And then you go to this dude in his basement with screens and guns, and you're like, survival man. I like you, survival man. And he's just sitting there waiting and watching.
Watching a lot
Then
of
they come in.
Alex Jones on the side.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I mean, if you want to make fun of Bill at any point, at least he's a based gay guy, right?
Well, I like Bill a lot for a couple of minutes. I really like the character because I thought I was getting something that I ultimately, I don't know what I got, but
maybe he was a victim of one of those things Alex Jones was talking about, was turning the frogs gay, right? Maybe he wasn't.
Possible.
He ate one of those gay frogs and it got the gay virus.
Okay.
Oh god, that's it, folks, and that's how the show.
I'm glad this is on my channel.
And I know we're gonna get into it later. And this is where the series just kind of went off the rails.
Yeah.
However, though, I think that this story that we get as a standalone is a beautiful story. It is an absolutely beautiful story that if this was a post-apocalyptic love story, take the gay element or have it, doesn't matter at that point. It's a great story. It is just completely wrong for the.
Yeah, it does. I said I said the same thing in my overall review of the show, was that this story, even if it had just been a regular, a heterosexual couple instead of the dudes, didn't have a place here because ultimately the story goes nowhere and it eats up an hour in an hour and 20-minute episode that could have been devoted to something that brought the story forward. This did not move the story forward.
And that's my problem. It's a 9-episode season. So
you can't waste any episodes.
Well, right.
This episode, I'm going to want
but they did. But they did.
I don't find romance interesting, whether it's straight or homosexual.
Right. Like they could still
in the context of this kind of show, Matt. No, I agree. You didn't see The Walking Dead wasting time with something like this.
And Nas, I did not say take away. I said take it or not. It's irrelevant. It's just a good story.
Thing. Well, for me, go ahead, Flaccid.
No, you're good.
You're good. I'm not good.
Okay. So I, like a lot of people here, agree. This, I think, was executed well this episode. However, I think the placement of it's weird because it's almost like you're supposed to have. And I know because in the video game, this happens early on. So yeah, the beats of it makes sense to have it right now. But the way they changed the story, it almost felt like a breath of fresh air of hope that you could almost give these characters moving on, Ellie and Joel throughout the wasteland, as potentially as they're like getting like down and out, that they're like, holy shit, this thing's getting worse and worse. Are we ever going to get over there? Like all hope's lost. And then you see this glimmer of hope. But it's too soon to happen in episode 3. And plus, we don't see our main characters, who I really kind of am invested in, grow from seeing this. They just read a letter and then they move on, right? It doesn't. I would want them to experience this somehow, so that way I know they are building and developing as characters moving forward. But they don't. They just read the letter, they get to the truck.
Right. Well, I have a lot. Actually, I have a lot of problems with not the very end of the episode, but the end of the two characters, and we can get that. We'll get to that when we get there.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Bill is not dead in the game.
No.
Frank dies and Bill survives. So this already kills off that.
Their relationship is kind of weird anyway in the game. And you do a mission with Bill. You like go and do all this stuff, and he's helping like shoot zombies, and he's talking back and forth with Ellie, and they're like bouncing off of each other, being a-holes to each other and stuff. And then when the scene ends, where you wind up getting a vehicle, he leaves. He's alive and totally fine. Now, I don't know if you ever see him again or not, but the way the story was crafted, if they had done this as like a vignette or like an after the episode kind of small thing or something, or like a standalone, like they could do a bunch.
It was a standalone though. It was
right, but you know what I mean, like not
in the
part
show
of the series. Like it would be its own little kind of shorts or something, and it would say, hey, Tales from The Last of Us or something. And you could have different ones. You could do like a story about that guy that Joel killed in the beginning where he was getting his drugs, maybe that guy's life or something.
And like the whole Indonesia doctor too.
Right. Yeah. Like
that
what
was a
happened
great
to
scene.
her? Did she
But
die?
you need that much to convey that story.
Right.
And that could have been the same kind of like I said, I like the opening. So we get the soldiers walk through the house. They think there's nobody there. And then Bill's like, not today, you new Jack
Boots
fucks or something
New
like
World
that.
Order
Which was
fucks.
great.
Yeah.
And then they leave, and then he waits a little bit, and he knows that they've cleared the town, or he suspects they've cleared the town anyway, because he comes out, he's got his mask on, and he's ready to go. And then he pulls the mask off, and it's Nick Offerman. And I was like, yes, it's Ron Swanson. This is the role he was born to play. And you see him, he's getting the shit at Home Depot, he's building this fence. He's got his wild animals. He's smoking a pig. Just all this stuff's going on. I thought that was fantastic. I love that little montage. And then we get the scene where he's sitting there eating what looks to be a delightful meal. And he's watching, one of the alarms goes off, and it's one of the shamblers is going through his property, and it gets the shotgun blast to the head. He's like, yeah, that never gets old.
Yeah, it was like a shotgun tripwire. So he built a fence, and he electrifies, and he has all these traps and stuff.
It's solid. It's unbelievable, but it's fun to watch.
It's unbelievable because there's only 10 miles from Boston. Somebody would have rolled him over already.
Yeah,
right.
So he also collects like a whole box of wine, because the liquor store is open. Remember, brought to you by Apocalyptic. Rosette. So somebody drops into one of his traps, and it's Frank, and he's out there, and he's like, "Are you armed?" And he pauses, and he says, "I'm a bad liar," and it's just they go through this exchange.
Well, think of the statistical percentage that two gay guys
right exactly.
I'm trying to think of it right now.
This is so convenient.
You're not wrong.
And
which hold on, real quick, Joker, which just makes me think maybe Frank is just gay for pay, right? Like maybe he's not really gay. He just sees a guy, he's like, this guy's totally gay. I'm just gonna suck his dick if I can keep out of safety.
That's exactly what I thought.
Water, I got food.
Well, because we go from here, and it's not even 24 hours.
No, it's a really quick transformation. So he's gonna shoot him. And then he's like, okay, you're not infected, fine, whatever. You came from Baltimore, which is a shithole anyway. You're probably better off. Just fucking go. Just go. He's like, I'm starving. He's like, if I give you food, you're gonna tell other people. Then it's a fucking free for all. He's like, I won't, but I'm a bad liar. And then he just lets him in. Next thing you think, he's in the shower, dude. He's like, oh, okay, and he gives him a change of clothes. And then he sits him down where's the meal? Oh, I cut the meal thing out.
And it's a really good looking meal.
It is. It's
rabbit. Restaurant quality.
Yes.
And he talks about the wine pairing. And this is where you get your first little twinge.
Being gay.
Oh.
Here we go.
And here's the
kind
thing,
of like annoying. It's like a stereotype, though. Like, oh yeah, you know how to pair things together. You must be gay. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I guess I know how to pair wine with a meal. I guess I'm gay.
And then there's the piano scene. This is where it came undone.
Yeah, with Linda Ronstadt of all things.
Where it came undone, and the pants did quickly ask.
Oh.
By the way, even this scene is implying a really bad stereotype about the gay community. Less than a few hours knowing each other, you guys are already hopping into bed. Come on.
Exactly.
Come on.
Like, bro,
and not to mention,
doing?
This guy is so paranoid that he has all these cameras and everything set up, but the guy's like, go take a shower. And he just goes and takes a shower?
Oh, hell no. No.
Well, I was also, because I had adopted his paranoia. So while he's playing the piano, I was waiting for a chair or a piece to come down and whacking him in the back of the head. And then I expected, I didn't know, but then it didn't go the way I thought it would.
He did get whacked.
Well, he did. We're here all night, folks. So
Hey-o.
the animal scene jumps to Hot Lovin'.
Take a show.
And I didn't watch the Hot Lovin'. I fast forwarded through the Hot Lovin' because I'm a dude.
It was not
And-
hot. It was really awkward. Really
It
awkward.
It was
awkward.
awkward when it first came on, and the entire family of the Empire stops. And my son just scrambling for the control, going, no, because we used to do that during Game of Thrones too. So I want you to know that during like sex scenes in shows that it pulls you completely out of the show, and everybody in the room's going, "Oh God."
Nobody wants
We
to watch
just
that
fast
stuff
forward
with
through
their
that shit. We did it
parents.
in Game of Thrones. We do it in whatever because it's awkward to watch.
But you know, it doesn't bother me that much that they're going to go there in this scene with Frank and Bill. But it bothers me in contrast to what we saw with Joel and what was her name?
Tess.
Tess.
That we get a loving relationship out of them without showing any sort of explicit like sexual act, right? And we see even a deeper companionship here. So
Right,
when they do this like weird, like I'm gonna go down on you, it's kind of like, dude, this is so totally
Like within
different
5
than the
minutes
show
of
you.
knowing you.
Yeah.
Well, this is the
it's-
wokeism. They're trying to get the audience to say, "Oh, this is
Right.
normal."
No, but it's just totally different than what they've set up, right? Like they showed us how they were going to subtly like tell us a story, and then now they're going to be like, "I'm going to suck this guy's dick now." Like, thank you.
And that's the bad
Can
part.
he
is
say
that-
it to the audience too? Like, turn to the camera and say, "I'm a flaming homosexual, and I love this other man." that's almost what it feels like what they're doing, right?
Right, and that's the problem is they tried to make it fit in the story, which it did, and but everybody knows why they did it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Right.
Well, they've
Right.
said that's why they
Right,
did it.
right.
It's not like oh, it's just there. No, they did this very intentionally to
Check off a box.
thrust
Just
it at the
shove it
audience,
in your
so to
face.
speak.
Hi, Mags.
Yeah.
Hey, Mags.
So now that
but-
they've had this moment, I want to see my Sigma male moment. I want to see something.
So we jump ahead after Hot Lovin'. We jump ahead to
Not hot.
3 years it's like 3 years or so. It's not very long in the future.
So they had a
And,
3-year-long sex scene, basically.
Yes, it felt like it. It certainly felt like it.
Ew.
So Frank's talking about he wants to, kind of spruce up the neighborhood, so to speak. And he's like, not stupid shops, but like the wine shop, the hardware store, and the boutique.
This is where, his boutique was trash. That
And because he's like, one day we're going to have friends here, and we want it to be nice, basically. And Bill's like, friends? There are no friends. But then Frank's like, well, I was talking to this nice lady on the radio, and it turns out it was Tess. And this is where you get a tie-in scene, which actually made sense for a second. And you really didn't need the rest of the bullshit. You could have just had the tie-in scene, and that would have been fine. With Joel and Tess having dinner with Bill and Frank, and they're kind of discussing things. Frank gets excited about something. He takes Bill in the Tess in the house, and Bill and Joel are talking.
Just like stare at each other, like you're a dick. You're a dick. You're a dick.
Yeah, exactly. But he talks about the fence isn't going to last. I could already see corrosion, all these kind of things. He's like, we coming from the city, we have things we can offer you,
Right.
for their network. And that was fine. They're getting ready to leave. Joel lays down, and it was smart. He's like, you have this compound, and it's great, but one day people will come. They will get by your booby traps. They will get by your fence, and they will come in here and they will take whatever they want. And Bill's like, we'll be fine. We don't know how much time passes. It's not a lot of time, but
Sure enough.
you see the people come, and the bombs go off. His defenses were really cool. I don't know why he went outside the house, honestly.
No.
Because the defenses were kind of taking care of things themselves. If they weren't getting zapped by the fence, they were getting blasted by the flamethrowers or the bomb. Everything was doing what it was supposed to.
But also
he goes out there and he gets shot like an idiot.
No, it's not like he went out there. He went out in the middle of the fucking street with no cover,
Right.
standing
Yes, right.
with a sniper. Like, if anyone knows anything about like shooting, you should at least have your rifle like rest on something. It'll be way more accurate. Standing position is the most inaccurate time you can actually shoot a rifle. Like your body will be shaking, basically just
Especially a
moving naturally.
sniper rifle, because you need to have a steady hand because
Yeah.
No
If he-
cover.
If he had a
No
setup
cover.
done correctly, he would have had multiple sniper nests, like high places that
Yeah,
he
on
could
the way
see
up.
all the
Which is
perimeter.
what
Yeah.
would have made sense because he's quartered off this entire area. He knows
Right.
it inside and out. Why the
Oh.
fuck are you in the middle of the street? You should know this.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so terrible.
Which
And
is
And then
why
even
I
when he
think
gets sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say I think it should have been Frank that was out there like an idiot.
That would make more sense.
And- yeah,
Made
to go
more
and
sense.
fuck
Okay.
up. But he only got shot because of Frank, which also doesn't make sense. He should have gotten shot before that, but he didn't. He got distracted and then he got shot because he was like dodging bullets before, I guess, whatever. But when Frank comes out, he's like, Bill. And Bill turns and he gets shot. It's like, all right. This scene doesn't make any fucking sense either, though. He took a gut shot. Was Frank a doctor? Did you
No.
any of you get the impression that Frank was a doctor?
No.
Not that I know of.
He took a
He knows
shot
about
to the
punching
gut.
though, so
He's
We'll
going
take that.
to die. Without medical care, proper medical care, you're going to die. But he just pours some alcohol on it and it's fine. It was like
Well,
magic elixir or something. I don't know.
here's the other thing is Bill went out there to shoot all these guys, which like you said, all of his traps were taking care of it. He gets shot, they go inside, and then it's like him being out there didn't even fucking matter in the first place because it took care of everything anyway.
Yes.
So what was and
Exactly.
there was no instance later on where it was like, oh, now he's injured permanently, or this is something that affects
And
their
someone gets
relationship.
in. Nope.
No, nothing. It did nothing. It was just
Right.
pure baiting. It was for action or
Oh.
something.
They show that
Oh.
wheelchair, and I'm like, oh shit, he's paralyzed.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
what I
it's like-
thought too.
Yeah, and then Frank's in
It
there.
turns
and
out
I'm
it's
like,
just
what
fucking.
the hell?
So we jump 10 years into the future after this scene. You think Bill's going to die.
Mhm.
I thought Bill was going to die. But you jump 10 years into the future and you see a man in a wheelchair. You think it's Bill. It turns out it's Frank. He has, I'm assuming, cancer. That was the assumption that I make. With this.
Let's assume AIDS until proven otherwise.
Oh, God damn it.
Wow, you went there. Okay.
I thought he
Oh,
had. I
God.
thought he
Yeah,
had like
I'm a bigot. That's
Alzheimer's or
okay.
something. You know, it was
So
having
he's been-
Alzheimer's or like multiple sclerosis or something.
Well,
Mhm.
I thought it was cancer just because he seems to have the internal rot going. He's got it. He can only obviously his diet isn't looking great. They're eating soup or something. He has to, he's got the straw now. He has to take his pills, and he does make the comment later on that even before the world fell to shit, they didn't have a cure for this. So that's why I make the assumption that he has cancer.
Mhm.
And just kind of following them around with their days, whatever.
Jesus, Zax. Shit.
What did he say?
It's a
Jack-
monkeypox.
Monkeypox.
Look, oh God, damn it!
No, it's cancer. It's very obviously cancer.
I think it's obviously cancer.
Yeah, it's
So-
cancer.
Now he's like, and so he climbs into his chair, and he's all mad at him. And now they're having a discussion, and he's like, I want this to be a great day because it's my last day. Oh, okay. You're doing the suicide thing. Fantastic.
Yeah, but I have an issue with the fact that they decided on their last day to get married. Too. Come
Yeah.
on, you've
20
been together for
years
how
together,
long?
and you couldn't just get married.
No, it's a meaningless thing at this juncture. It doesn't. It's just.
So now they're just tossing the idea of marriage out the window then by doing it on the day they die. And even if you approach it from the angle of, oh, well, the world's kind of crashed in 2003, gay marriage was still a topic even in the 80s. So
Mhm.
And we're
there
in
was literally no
2023,
reason
yeah.
to do this unless you're trying to insult marriage
yeah,
or
but-
just put a cherry on top.
Right. Well, Roman,
Mhm.
you're saying like it doesn't matter, but like we already see that Frank is addressing things in the town that don't matter either, right? He's trying to fix up the boot. What is it? The
Boutique.
bouquet
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Stereotypically gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
Picked up the
come on.
streets. Let's
When
do
do we
some
get some-
gardening.
When do we get some bro gays? Just like, yo, let's just wrestle and play football and talk about sports and drink beer. Like, when do we get those gays on screen?
Yeah, we don't-
Roman, your thoughts?
Those are too masculine.
Mhm. Too toxic.
Yeah,
Uh,
toxic,
that's
toxic case.
So they get
Yeah,
they
it's
get
just
married.
toxic
They,
bigot gays.
they make a really nice meal. Hang on, I'm gonna pull the slide out for 1 sec. I'm not sure what my next one is. Okay, no, okay. We need to hang out.
I gotta say the food all looks great.
It did all look nice. So he was gonna grind up some kind of whatever pills, put them in wine. Frank was gonna drink them and then basically go to sleep in his arms, which I object to. But that's not that. I object to the suicide portion of it. I have serious issues with that.
You got necro, and then you got gay necro. That's just.
So, as soon as the scene was going, I knew it was going to happen. Bill poisoned the whole bottle, and they both drank the wine. And Frank is like, I want to be mad at you, but it's a really romantic gesture. And Bill talks about how he's satisfied with his life, and he basically doesn't want to live without him, and so they die together.
This wasn't romantic to me at all, by the way.
Many problems with this. One, the suicide aspect of it alone is I find very problematic. Two, these are guys who survived the fungal zombie apocalypse, and they're taking their own lives. Frank obviously doesn't have a lot of time left anyway. Just let it go, man. Just let it go naturally. But Bill taking his life is a fucking problem for me. Even a bigger problem because Bill had a lot of skills and he could have still continued to help people in the network.
He could have taught people those skills.
Yeah.
And he took
had friends. He had not Ellie, but he had Tess and Joel now as well.
Yes.
Those are people he could have formed an alliance with.
And he could have been like because of the way his little town is set up, he is like he's like a safe zone.
And that's what he did in the game is he helped them get through that portion of the high school. Yeah. And he just didn't stand around and like do nothing. He was like popping zombies in the head and hit them with machetes and stuff. And he was like, go here, do this. Hey, look over here, that kind of stuff. So he was very helpful. And
not so fucking helpful here, was he?
They emasculated him here.
And he talked with Ellie and they bantered and she learned things from him and you got exposition in the thing.
Well, all she learned here is if things get tough, fucking kill yourself. That's what
right. It just, and then they never meet her. He never meets her. I don't know. There's different ways this could have. I think it would have been better if he lived at the end and met them and was like,
I agree. I aside from the whole storyline, which was awkward for a lot of folks, the suicide pact ending was the thing I found most objectionable about the episode. Even the time loss, of course, was a big problem for me as well. But I hated this ending. I hated it.
Well, I don't know, because I think what they built Bill to be in this episode, he delivers on that. I don't like the way they took Bill, period. But I will say he's following this more romantic version of himself with Frank. So when he decides to kill himself with it, you kind of go, yeah, I guess now they only are thinking about each other now more than the bigger picture. Like Shieldwall was saying that he's helping other people out. He's more about the cause, more about survival. And is he this old? He looks very old. Every time I see cutscenes about Bill in The Last of Us video game, he looks a lot younger.
He was. He was probably late 30s, early 40s.
This is a rough 10 years.
Yeah.
From the dinner with Joel and Tess to this, bro.
Yeah, but I also got the impression that Bill was older than Frank.
We'll make it happen.
yeah. But I also got the impression that Bill was older than Frank.
I had that impression as well. But he didn't really look it. I mean,
no,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This whole fucking storyline doesn't matter. That's the thing. This was
a
consequential
waste of time.
And I'm not going to fault the actors because they were great. The actors played this really, really well. But like I said, this could have been if this is some standalone story somewhere else, it could be fine. It does not fit here.
Right.
Also, just throwing it in.
The woke messaging is that gay people should commit suicide.
Okay.
I was just saying, we've had more character development for a gay couple that we will never see again compared to the main characters that we're supposed to give a flying fuck about. which is the
Mhm.
biggest problem I
Yes!
have with this.
Yeah.
It's not that they're
Good-
gay. It's not
good
that it was
call,
a waste
Vex.
of time. It's
Good
that
call,
you
Vex.
decided to put all your effort into this instead of developing the characters that maybe we won't see all of them in season 2, but we'll definitely see Ellie, and we still know
Mhm.
nothing about her.
Which is
Mhm.
why it'd
this-
be more.
Yeah,
We
100%.
learned something about
100%.
Joel
And
because
I think,
Joel's
and I
not
think,
gay, so he won't commit suicide. That's what
and I
he's
think, and I think this has something to do with the what's his name, Neil Druckmann. As I said before we came on air, he's a big fan of Anita Sarkeesian.
Ugh.
So
I think this
Blow
episode would
my
have been better
fucking
if it was
brains
like
out.
the intro episode we
Mhm.
saw in episode 2 with that Indonesian doctor. If we only
Right.
had that amount of time with these two,
no, and yes,
or
Placid, I
something.
agree.
and then you got to kind of get a little vignette of their experience, and then you get right back to Joel and Ellie. Because at this
Yeah.
point, episode 3, and we're only like one episode away, right, from being almost halfway through it. You got to be thinking like, what? Am I really invested into Joel and Ellie at this point? You just gave
No.
me this whole and these episodes are not short. If anyone is watching us
Right.
talk about this episode or these, this series
was almost an
without
hour and a
actually
half,
watching it,
this one.
yes, it was basically a movie. It
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
like
A Lifetime movie
This was
at
10
that.
minutes away from being a 90s movie.
right,
Plus,
yeah.
because they have no impact on the storyline. You could just skip right through it.
Right. We
Yes.
didn't
Yeah.
we didn't need to know, like, Tess made a comment like, hey, we should go see Bill and Frank, like, let's go. And then now we get a whole montage of their whole
If-
life and their whole existence.
Right.
And like,
If
no,
you
we,
skip this episode and go to the next one, the only question you'll have is how'd they get a truck?
Right.
And that's
That'd be it.
You
Literally,
can just-
that would be
at
it.
the end of this episode. You don't even need to watch the beginning of this episode, even though I thought the beginning was kind of fun. You don't need that. You need the
Yeah.
last minute of the episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if
I mean-
the economy of storytelling, this whole thing could be cut out, and you still get from point A to point B perfectly fine at the beginning and at the end of this episode. So you just got to be thinking, if I was some person that cared about budget, I'm like, cut this gay shit out of here,
Right. Right.
Which
This
you
is.
think
because you knew
HBO would with the state of their company.
Oh.
I mean.
But,
I mean,
but,
this
You
is.
know they're going to go see Bill and Frank.
but this
Fine.
episode
They
also
get there and they're already dead. They killed themselves. Okay.
Bang.
Objectionable as that is, you don't need to go through all the other bullshit to get to that point.
Right.
And
Because.
you find the things that they need to find.
But that being
Because-
said, I think this episode might have actually got them all of their loan money that they needed.
Right. Because if you take out this story here, you still have a half-hour show.
Yeah, pretty much.
You got a half-hour show.
That's a
with
lot. That's a
Also-
lot.
commercials.
This young girl now, because they come finally, Joel and Ellie get here, right? And they're
Yep.
like, where is everything?
Mm.
And she's been sitting with that letter for a good minute. And you're telling me this we can't
That
say the
pissed
R
me
word
off.
on here, can we? On YouTube. This
Mm-mm.
idiot is sitting
I
here
know
with
it's
this
my,
letter.
you can say
and
pretty
it's
much
just
whatever
like-
you want here. It's fine.
And it's just like, please use the arsenal downstairs to save. And then she stops at that name. Like, you're really shocked by that? You've been sitting there for like 6 minutes with this letter. How stupid are you?
Also,
Or is that how
the letter
poor
was
education
addressed
is?
to Joel, to anybody but probably Joel.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
She opened it.
well, she
Well,
did
yeah.
say, "I guess I count as anybody."
Yeah.
No, his name was on it. Have some goddamn respect. And that I found that wildly irritating. Another
Mhm.
irritating thing about an irritating character who reminds me of Greta Thunberg, who I dislike. So
Wow.
Joel goes outside
You went
and
there.
reads the
Okay.
letter. He crumbles it up. He has a very brief emotional moment. They go down into the basement, and she's like, "This guy was a genius." Again, we look around this room and we don't see the man that we got through this episode. We see the man we met at the beginning of the episode with Bill,
Right.
Mhm.
but we don't see the guy who was in the episode throughout.
Which they tried to explain with like, oh, he had a reason to live now. But I'm just like, this dude literally spent his entire life doing this. You're telling me
Right.
all of that went out the window just because of one romance?
Well,
it
That's some
clearly
good
didn't,
dick.
At
because
the end of the world,
That's some good dick, Vex.
yeah.
Vex.
I don't know if you know
Like-
the male mind. As soon as they get in this, like, if that was some good ass, you know what I'm saying? Like, some girl, yeah, it would maybe make more sense to you, you know?
Also, if that had been a heterosexual relationship, she would have taken over this space, and this would now be her she shed.
Right.
Mhm.
All kinds of craft stuff and ribbons.
Oh God.
But this also, like, I think this should be a forewarning to anyone who is watching this now. This is the kind of hole-ridden storytelling we're getting.
Whoops.
This is not
Mhm.
take the game out of the equation. This is just not well-written TV. It looks good, it sounds good, but there's no soul to it.
Mhm.
Well, that's the last 5 years of television, basically.
Yeah, anything 2018 up till now, between written and constructed between
Like 95% of it, yeah.
Well, also like take into consideration, it's only taken till episode 3 for them to like kill a major character from the game. Like in the game, like Bill was a major character who helped you out. So like by episode 3, like a major character that was in the game that was kind of needed for the game is taken out. Like that's, to me, that's when you start taking out major characters of things just because XYZ thing, like that's where I'm like,
I still have I had a big problem. I had a big problem with the way they exited.
So the question is, will they replace what Bill does in the story with some sort of like woke female character in the next episode?
Well, that's what's
Dear
going to come.
Lord, Matt.
Oh hell yeah!
So they anyway, so Joel goes out to the garage. He finds the car. He's looking for a battery. In the refrigerator is the stuff to make a fucking battery. Okay, and that's it. And they drive off and they listen to that goddamn Linda Ronstadt song again. And that's pretty much it.
Well, there's one more important part about Ellie finding.
Oh, yes,
she found the gun.
She finds the gun that Frank had in his little desk drawer, and she
Yes.
steals it.
And she doesn't tell Joel.
Nope.
And I assume the gun is going to come up at some point that is not going to be convenient for
probably
Joel.
going to shoot herself for Joel.
And here's my issue with the whole thing. Okay. In the game, was just in an orphanage. In the TV show, she says she went to a military school. So I'm assuming that they were going to turn her into a soldier at some point. So she probably would have seen guns or something. Anyway, my whole opinion on this, and the same as in Walking Dead, is you arm everybody. You show them how to use a weapon, you train them, and you freaking arm them. You don't want them disarmed or unarmed walking around out there when God knows what's going to happen, especially if she's a 14-year-old girl in a post-apocalyptic world.
I had my first, I had a 22 at 12. What? I was already shooting and hunting and stuff when I was like.
Well, in Joel's defense, he, this girl looks like she's bloodthirsty, right? There's something loose about this girl.
I don't think
when he's alone, when she's alone with those.
He's worried about though. He's more worried about her turning into a mushroom than he is about other.
Yeah, but why would she be worried about a mushroom using a gun?
No,
like the mushroom
I wouldn't
thing.
be. I don't really understand his motivation in not giving her a gun. You're right. I mean, she's a kid, but she's not going to shoot you probably.
In the game, he's the same way. He does not want her having a weapon in the game.
Make any sense?
But she has more innocence in that case. It doesn't make sense here.
Because in the game, she goes through so much with him and Bill. When they get out of that situation, he starts to change his mindset on it. But they bond too because they've gone through this together, which the show has not got us there yet.
No, we're 3 episodes in.
Right.
They wasted this episode.
Yes.
So we're going to.
This should have been the episode 4. Where they bond.
Yes.
Right.
This should have been, like I said, you got that beginning. You jump to the end, you put them on a road trip, but you could have filled in the rest of the episode with the after they get the battery stuff. You didn't. We've talked about it at length. They could have done a couple of minutes, just like they did in 1968, just like they did in Indonesia, and fill in that little part, and it would have been just fine.
I think if you put in more of it to Roman, like gun to your head, like they say, Roman, you have to rewrite this episode. You got to keep a lot of the elements of this romantic relationship in there, and maybe move more of the plot, like you're thinking, right? It's like, I want more of the Ellie and Joel relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, well then just split it up, right? Like just have a flashback between the two. And that way you can develop the characters and maybe even show some contrasting relationship between the two and make the theme of the episode mean more for our characters that we're going to have moving forward. Because, again, Joel or Frank and Bill will mean nothing to us in episode 4, most likely.
You won't remember who they are, man.
Yeah.
You won't remember who
Unless
they
they
are.
bring him up again, you won't remember it.
Well, hold on, real quick. Does everyone think that Bill is actually dead because we don't see a body? You know, we see the window
No,
open,
he's-
right? Because he's like,
He's dead. He's dead.
I'm
Come
assuming he's
on.
dead for the contents
No.
of the show. I'm
Yeah.
assuming he's dead.
no. Justice for Bill. Hashtag everyone in the chat right now. If you haven't already, smash that like button, everyone in the chat. But also, come on,
I think-
Bill's alive.
This
No,
episode is
Bill,
probably
no
gonna be.
peace.
This is going to be a
God
primer
damn it.
for the
Free
in
Bill.
in the extended like comic book or lore for, or no, one of the DLCs for the first game is Ellie going to the mall with the friend where she gets the bite, right?
Mhm.
And apparently they're
Yeah.
Scissoring.
So this is where they
Scissoring.
so they never
Oh
mention
my.
her. They
I
never
didn't know that
mention
either.
No, they never mention her sexuality in the first game. Then they do a DLC where it comes out that, yeah, that's how she rolls. So,
and if you pay attention to the second episode, like when they're walking on the bridge and like Tess asked her like, "Oh, do you have like a father or a boyfriend or anything?" There's an instance where you can tell something was cut out during editing because it looks like she was about ready to say there was a girl or there was a girlfriend once kind of deal.
right. And that
So
you're
it's
talking about
coming.
the TV show, right?
Lord.
Yes.
Yeah, it's never, like I said, it's never mentioned in the game. But that all being said, with everything problems I have with the show, I am still excited to see the next episode because I think it's going to go.
So here's my thoughts on this. I'm going to finish this series just because I at least, even if they've derailed me so much, I'm at least going to watch it for content purposes so that we can have conversations about it. I liked episodes 1 and 2 enough so that I will have endured episode 3, and I do want to see what happens in episode 4. Now, I'm going in episode 4 cautious though because they freaked me out, and I don't think this was probably a great idea. I mean, they think it's a fantastic idea, but the audience for this show was precarious anyway because you had the video game folks. Think about Halo. I mean, that's a video game show, and everybody fucking hated that. But you have a video game show that's deviated from the topic enough, so the video game folks already fucking hate your show. So now you're left with, the normie audience, us. You've given us 2 good episodes, and then you took us the fuck out of your universe for an entire episode. We're only 2 in, and Flasted, you said it, I think, very well. What they could have done with this is juxtapose the relationships between Ellie and Joel, and if you wanted to get the Frank and Bill stuff in there, you could have had that. But you didn't. You didn't do that. You just gave us Bill and Frank and not enough of our main characters. Now you probably lost audience because of that, though. Regular people are going to be like, what the fuck did I just watch? I am not watching this shit again.
Like I didn't watch the series to watch gay porn. Sorry.
Well, I watched the series to see where Joel and Ellie go, not this fucking gay couple that is going to show up again.
This fucking side story that didn't need to exist. And like I said, even if this had just been a regular romantic tale, it had no place in this episode. With 2 characters, you're going to fucking ace at the end of it anyway. It just doesn't matter. So anyway, so go ahead, Joker.
It had no place in the show. I mean, as like an entire episode. I mean, you could just like you said, just sprinkle little excerpts along the way.
But we didn't get sprinkles. We got a whole fucking cake. So,
bacon bits. So, it's you get we got the pig instead of bacon bits.
So we may try to do something like this again. Let's 3 more episodes down the line and see where we're at. Let's see what we think then, as opposed to where we are now, which is like, fuck, I have no idea what I'm going to get now because they have fucking shit in the fucking punch bowl. I don't know what's going to happen.
You might join us over here in the video game camp going, no, Bill, no peace.
No, exactly.
Matt's got that bait and switch look.
He does. Yeah, Matt's like, fuck these people, fuck this show, fuck you for doing this show.
They'll probably kill Joel at the end of the season.
They may, yeah. Instead of waiting for the events of part 2 in the video game world,
which would be an interesting choice because what's her face is not a lead. So who's going to carry this show if they do kill him off?
Oh, the Marmot kid.
Yeah,
they're writing her like she is.
No, they're writing her like that, but I mean, star power means a lot, especially when you're doing an adaptation
yeah.
like this, right? So
They
if
don't
they
care
end up
about that.
killing off Pedro Pascal, who's going to
If-
carry the show?
If they cared
Instead, you
about
got the
that,
weird
they wouldn't
Greta
be
looking
writing the
kid
show
who
like
no
they
one
are.
likes.
None of these woke people will be doing that, like writing these shows like they are. You know, they're writing these shows
Yep.
for two reasons: to push their agenda, and to basically because they think they actually think it's good.
Mhm.
Let me ask this question. Do we think that this episode 3 is the House of Dragons dragon coming out of the floor of the septum episode?
Could be. I mean, I mean,
actually
just
think-
based.
I think that was far less harmful to House of Dragons than this episode was to this show. House of Dragons, that was a dumb choice. And everybody
Right.
recognized that, watch the show, but it didn't make you go, whoa, this show is going to go fucking sideways.
It was
No.
dumb. Yeah, it was dumb, but actually, after reading the book, it might be setting up something else. So that's my thought of it.
Yeah. And that's kind of the attitude I'm taking with this too. Was I wasn't too pleased with 3 because I feel like we've all seen different shows and how things go, and it felt like they're wasting time, like how they had a lot of filler in the Mandalorian and stuff that they could have done better. But I'm gonna reserve. I learned from House of Dragon. I'm gonna reserve my judgment until I've seen the whole thing. And
I think the big difference between this and House of the Dragon was the big mistake in episode 9. You had enough good faith built, and especially with episode number 8, where
Right.
you take 30 seconds and you've got more character than anything that I saw last year. And this being so early, that's a really bad sign.
Yeah, Joker. Yes, 100%. I didn't. There was never a point when I was watching House of the Dragon where I was like, man, I don't know if this is going to fucking work out. Whereas right now with this show, I am like, I don't know if this is going to fucking work out.
Right.
It's like you're early on in the relationship, and the girl jumps out of the bathroom window. So it's like, this may not work. This may not work. We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to continue to watch the show. Like I said, we're going to continue to have our reviews, and like I said, and if this group would like to try to revisit this in 3 episodes, because I think that would be fun, so that we can all have this talk again.
By that time, I'll have watched all of the playthroughs, so I'll know what to expect.
And by that point, we'll know if we're using the date analogy, if she's like suddenly going to furry conventions or something.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I'm hoping there's more furry representation.
Well, maybe they'll give her special powers because she's infected with
Oh,
immune.
God damn it.
Ooh, Matt, don't give him ideas. Should I have super strength or something?
That would actually make it interesting if she starts bench pressing.
And maybe Matt that Smith will write in on a dragon and just like the wipe out an entire field.
Like there could be a bunch of like zombie mushrooms come from them. Joe's like, you don't have a gun, run it. I don't need no damn gun. Picks up a truck.
Right.
Right now, I would welcome Daemon Targaryen riding in on a dragon.
Oh yeah.
Oh no! Wait, I got it. To make this even better and to appease the wokey even more, it's weird. It's the worst possible situation. Brie Larson as Captain Marvel comes in and wipes out the entire.
Maybe she'll be Abby. There you go.
Damn it. That actually hurt me in ways I didn't think they'd be hurt. Joker. Hey, Flaccid. Flaccid may be in the bathroom.
No, I'm here. Sorry. I
No. I had. You know what? I just had a thought about King V though. He might have had the fungal infection.
Oh, don't do that to my boy King V. No, he did not
have
have
been
the
the first.
fungal
He
infection.
might have been the first. Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Don't put that evil on him. Well, but you know what I'm thinking now? If we're talking about this next episode, they better have a person of color in this next episode. It's been pretty white the last 2 episodes, right?
I did.
Well, that's what the Fireflies are, right? They're the diversity now.
Yes.
Yeah, they had that whatever the 2 black ladies in there.
Yeah.
Episode. And then they killed one.
The previews for the next episode, there's a boy, like a young man in it.
The brothers, they're Mexican.
They're,
Spanish.
well, that's right. They're Hispanic, aren't they?
Yeah, they're
that's
white
They
passing.
just flowers,
Come
they
on.
say
That's representation. That's
POC,
fine.
as
It's
they say.
main
No,
character.
no.
It's fine.
Listen, I'm well versed with my wokeness. If they're white passing, it doesn't count.
The brother did look more Hispanic than Joel does.
He
Right.
does,
did.
yes.
He did.
He does.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal. What the
But-
fuck?
But I remember I saw the previews for the next little next episode, and it does have people of color in it.
All right. Well,
Thank God.
good.
Well,
Fine.
it depends on how they.
You mean how badly they abuse them in the episode? I guess we'll see.
Well, yeah.
All right. So I think we can wrap on this. We all, I think, we're pretty happy, and then we weren't pretty happy, and now we're all we're going into episode 4 on
Clenching our butt cheeks, hoping nothing doesn't get shoved
no,
up there.
there's a big clench. There's a big clench. Nothing is getting in. Nothing.
Well, now
Not a
we're not doing the gay
mushroom.
stuff anymore, so definitely nothing is going in.
Oh yeah.
Only every third
Sure.
episode will be about gay people killing each other.
No, Joker. No. No. No.
Jason
no,
Todd.
no, no.
Jason Todd knows all about this thing.
Oh God. So I like the show. I'm afraid of what the show's going to do to itself, though. So I think are we all pretty much on that page?
Yeah.
Except for Matt. He's just
More or less.
angry.
Yeah.
Matt's
I'm
like,
all right.
fuck the show. Are you still at the fuck the show phase, Matt?
Like I said, it's hard to get past Pedro Pascal. That's the first one. And then and I used to like him. I love him over Martel. I'm not a big fan of Game of Thrones as a show, but I enjoyed some parts of it. But and so and the Mandalorian, I was cool with the Mandalorian in the first 2 seasons
Yes.
until the Kenny effect happened, and then he did what he did with Carano and all that, and then this comes out, and I'm like. I mean, I know I was joking when I said, well, I guess they're telling us that gay men should just commit suicide. But that's effectively the end of the story. The storyline was, well, you're gay, so you should just kill yourself and have no effect on the world. What are we supposed to take from it? Like the writing and I'm getting older. Obviously, like you, Rome, we're getting older here. And you only have so many hours left in your life to watch TV, So do I want to watch this? Or do I want to go back and I found a wrestling program called Lucha Underground. If you like wrestling, you know what that is. I got all the 4 seasons of it. Do I want to go back and rewatch that, which is very entertaining, and I haven't seen in years? Or go back and watch the $6 Million Man again, which I haven't watched, or watch this show, which I know is going to have this stupid writing in it. Leaving aside the woke stuff, leaving aside the Deviants video game, how stupid you have to be to write an hour and a half, 20-minute episode, 45 minutes that have no effect on the story.
Yep, 100%, Matt.
I mean,
100%.
that doesn't interest me. Like that means mentally you can just edit it out and snip and nothing's gonna change. So that's
in an age when you can watch almost anything you want to, whenever you want to, don't give your audience something that they want to walk away from, and you give your audience that opportunity in this episode.
Yeah. Anytime I get a new TV show, like a show I've been raving called The Rig, which everyone should go watch, the horror TV show. I was very trepid. I acquired the episode, a few weeks ago. I was very reluctant to watch the show, because I was like, oh, it's going to be another thing where they either bait and switch or they woke it or whatever. So finally I watched it and I got really enthused about it and was very happy about it. But it took 2 weeks because of how these shows have conditioned me to think they're all going to be bad now.
Mm-hmm.
To not go in expecting anything hopeful and good,
And that's a really sad part. And I'm talking about our sphere on YouTube, because we are equally, we can get equally as triggered as the woke folks do, and there is some of us in our own sphere who are becoming as bad as the woke. They just boom. It is just instantly. It sucks. It's this. It's that. And there's just no hope for it.
I'm on record as saying I don't mind the woke stuff in the shows. As long as it's something for everyone. You know what I mean?
I wasn't talking to you, Matt. I wasn't talking.
So when we started this episode, when we started this show tonight, it was why. The why of it is important. you can't just, it's not just, I don't like. It is,
Mhm.
why don't you like it?
Right.
And I think we've, you know, we walked through 3 episodes of this show saying what we liked and we didn't like and why.
Mhm.
That's what someone had to screen this stuff and they had to know that there was going to be an audience reaction like this. And they were okay with that. So
Right.
we'll have to see what happens next. I am going to wrap it up now, though. I think we need to bring it to a close. It actually went a skosh longer. By a skosh, I mean about
So
an
you're
hour.
you're going to
and a
give
half.
up all the
And,
wine
but
now, Roman?
It's fine. That's
Yeah.
us. We're nerds. That's what we do, right? We're not going to not talk about the thing because the conversation about it is important. And the more we discuss it, the more other people will discuss it. So that's why we do what we do. So I'm going to go around the panel here and you can just throw out what you got coming up and then we will close the doors. Shieldwall, what do you have coming up, my friend?
Let's see. Well, thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. It's always a great time. I don't have a channel or anything, so I really don't have anything coming up except for whatever streams I might happen to be invited on from anybody. So I'm always open to an invite.
You know what's coming up on Thursday. You know what's coming up next
Yep.
Thursday, Shieldwall.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, you know, sorry for my voice. A little congested. I've been sick last week, but
I'm still saying it's sexy.
yeah, this was I like this stream. It's great. It's great meeting Vex being on here and Mando as normal and Matt. I always learn so much when he's on. It's like I'm going to school here, and it's nice meeting you for Joker Voice. Actually, I think we might have been on a stream before. I can't remember.
Possible.
And obviously, you know, Flaccid. It's always a hoot on with him and
You're welcome.
them. You know, it took me like a month to figure out that there were 2 of them. I had no idea what the hell was going on, but it's always great being on with them. And then of course, thanks to chat, you know, it's always great. So I don't know, it's just great to talk about this kind of stuff and you know, have a place to lay it all out there, you know. And if I have bad takes, then you know, that's me. I got bad takes, but I appreciate being on. So thank you.
Right on, brother. Mando, you doing another 48-hour stream coming up soon?
Oh, that 24-hour stream. I almost died. Like, yeah, Vex, I did a 24-hour freaking stream Saturday and I almost died.
What did you play?
I played a lot of games. I'm not one of those 24-hour streamers that only plays one game because you would have like live seen me probably do something crazy. So I played like 5 or 6 different games to try and help, you know, like
keep it fresh.
Keep it fresh. Like some of it was single player games, some of it was community games because like I get to play in those single player games. I'm just like, I need someone to talk to.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's what I did this past Saturday. It was amazing and awesome, and I appreciate all the people who helped me stay awake for that. Like I had people constantly checking in on me, doing sound alerts and doing all these crazy things, being like, "Hello, stay awake." I had somebody clip me where I was focused and it looked like I was sleeping because like my laptop, my gaming laptop is below. So if I'm looking and I'm like this, it looks like I'm tired almost.
Okay, I am not suggesting this for any participant who's going to go on a 24-hour, 48-hour stream, but I've just heard cocaine is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Well, here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that people might like. Most people don't remember. My doctor the last few weeks said no caffeine. So I did that whole 24-hour stream with no caffeine.
Oh,
not even soda.
That sucks.
That's not cool.
Sucks.
Wow. You Iron Woman, that one.
Impressive.
Wow.
Very impressive.
Thank you. I also like all I had was some pink lemonade, and that's an inside joke for some of you who know what the inside joke is. Behind the scenes, I'll tell you guys if you want to know. But yeah, I mostly stream on Twitch. Literary Souls is still on hiatus right now because my job has got me working on Saturdays like a butt muncher. And so Ark and I are trying to figure out scheduling. I'm also working on another project behind the scenes with another content creator. I can't talk too much about it. But you'll be seeing that more on YouTube, and I will eventually post things on YouTube. I promise. Twitch right now is kind of sucking my life right now, and I just always stream on Twitch. So yeah, that's where you can primarily find me. I'm Untamed Mando. I finally got all of my usernames as Untamed Mando now. So thank you guys. Like, yeah, for those of you who helped me out on my 24-hour stream, you guys are lifesavers. By hour 4, I was playing Minecraft by hour 4, and I'm just like, I'm so tired. I just want to go to sleep. I just want to go to bed because I started at 1 a.m. So I went from 1 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
hard.
Wow.
Kudos to you. My goodness.
Thank
Wow.
you. It was a celebration for 200 followers on Twitch. That's why I did that. So it wasn't just random for like some other
Not a
streamers.
celebration, Mando. That's that's I've seen celebrations. It's
You got to
not like
pace
that.
yourself with that because now when you get 300, what are you going to do?
Oh,
When you get
no.
1,000, what are you going to do?
Lord!
I know, right?
Mando.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who do 72-hour streams, and I'm like, are you psycho?
Yeah, they're
Well,
probably
you
living
can
They're
still
not-
do 48 hours. You can just sleep in between because the sleep streams boost your numbers. So
They do. It's weird. Twitch has these streamers that just stream themselves sleeping. It's weird, and they get money. I'm like, why can't
mad
you get
money.
like
they get
that?
mad money, by
Yeah,
the way.
that's-
Yeah.
Sleep?
Attractive
Like,
people
that
come
kind of
up with
stuff
I'd love
doesn't
to see
work
this
for me.
sleeping. Oh my god! All right, well, thank you, Mando, for being here again. You're always saving the show. Joker, what do you have coming up, buddy? You're a busy man.
I am. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be over on Legion Talk for Friday night's Royal Rumble. I will also have my Friday video dropping at about 6 a.m. Pacific time, so 9 a.m. on the East Coast. And I'm giving my response to the James Gunn announcement. And a lot of
nice.
folks are not going to be happy with my take.
Right on. That's gonna be. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
But Vex, who has watched my stuff, knows that I really don't care what.
He's unapologetic. There you go.
Yes, I am.
Flaccid, my brother, you
Yes,
crazy
sir.
maniac son of a bitch. What do you got coming up?
So I think I'm gonna be live streaming hopefully this Saturday over on Zax's channel. We're gonna do our Circle of Jerks at 11:30
right on.
p.m. Central Standard Time. If you can make it, if you're up that late, go over to Zax's channel. Right now he's not feeling too good. Him and his family, I think, all have COVID. So
prayers
send
for
your
Zach.
send your prayers out to him and his family that they feel better here soon. They're supposed to do a live. He was supposed to do a live stream this last Wednesday, but he was not feeling too good. So I hope he feels good enough to stream this Saturday. Monday, though, on my channel, we're going to be streaming 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We don't know what we're streaming yet, because if The Last of Us is still good, I think we'll do that. But if it's not, then we'll try to think of something else. Because
You're looking at doing a left turn.
well, I mean, if it's really bad or something, but you know what, we don't know
gotta
yet.
talk about it, man.
But if we do, Roman might be making an appearance if we're talking about The Last of Us.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. We're demonetized on my channel because YouTube basically decided that we're using too much HBO content on our shorts that we haven't made in like months, but they went back and just striked us for it.
Wow.
HBO.
But on the plus side, Zach's got his monetization back. He just deleted a bunch of stuff. So
Good news for Zach.
hopefully we'll just be able to rebalance. But we're going to be making a new channel maybe and then just focus on other stuff because YouTube really wants you to niche down in a topic. So, yeah, Zach says in the chat he'll be there Saturday. So, yeah, go sub to Zach's if you haven't already. I'll be streaming over there. And
got a fantastic channel.
yeah, and go ahead unsubscribe to me because I'm sure there's a reason why you shouldn't be watching me anyway. So, thank you, Roman, for having me on.
Thank you for being here, buddy. Really,
Yeah, man, that really sucks about that demonetization.
No, it's fucking. That's.
I know. Oh no, I wasn't making my $3 each month from my views.
Well, it's the point, though. It's the point.
Yes, it is,
We
yes.
get that no
Yeah.
one makes money off of YouTube unless you have like a million
Right.
fucking subs. But it's the point to the fucking thing that they just they go after you for ridiculous things. They'll probably come after me because I said they go after you for ridiculous things. But anyway, Matt, Unbearable 73, what do you have coming up?
Well, every week I'm posting a couple of reactions to some older wrestling videos and spooky videos. I'm still working on Bleach reviews. I have a review of the rig coming out probably early next week. I'll be doing a commentary on the Jason on Gunn's slate of DC events, which I predicted are all going to suck, which they are apparently going to suck because Tim
You're
King is
wrong.
involved.
Nope,
King is
you're wrong.
involved. He's a horrible writer. That's the end of it. You know.
Wrong.
And what else?
Nerd fight.
That's about it. Obviously this show. What do we have coming up, Roman, with something, another comic book show and something else?
So this week coming up, we've got the well, I'll go into it at the end. We actually have a couple things that
you'll see me there and
this
then,
week and the following week. Yeah, Matt's going to be here, and we'll talk about those shows here at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
So thanks for being here again, Matt. Your inputs are always very good, and you've got a lot of knowledge.
I'm finally using that 49.5 years worth of trivia that I've absorbed. So
you knew one day it was going to pay off. So
why am I reading this obscure trivia book? 40 years later,
Vex Electronica, first time on the show. Thank you so much for coming. Now, your inputs were fantastic, and we do. Yeah, I really appreciate you. And I'm going to bring you back. You think you're like, no, not again, Roman. You're coming back. So, what do you got coming up?
Thank you for having me on, by the way. I'd be happy to come back anytime. I work till 8 p.m. on our time, so it takes me an hour to drive back home. That's why I was late. That's all.
Oh, that's why. That's a haul.
I know.
I understand. I live 45 minutes away from where I work.
There you go. Right. And there was a snowstorm tonight as well, which didn't help. So I made it though. I am on YouTube, Vex Electronica. I just started my channel last month. I dropped a video yesterday. I have another one coming up this weekend. I'm burning the candle at both ends. This is supposed to be my week off of
oh no, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. So I'm here tonight. Tomorrow I will be over on Connolly Sasquatch's productions or channel for his stream for a bit. Saturday,
the missus tomorrow night, right? That's
exactly the ladies stream, and then Saturday I will be pre-recording for 8750, and then Sunday I'll be on Wookie Be Bad's channel.
Wow, right on.
Yeah, but yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Vex Electronica. Twitter, I'm pretty active, Vex Electronica.
No,
honestly, anywhere you see Vex Electronica and a brown woman, it's it's me. There you go. Safe bet.
It's good marketing. It's good marketing. Exactly. You know where you are and you know what you're getting.
But yes, thank you so much for having me here. I actually really enjoy most of your content, everyone on this panel. So
especially mine.
Well,
I watch Joker's content every time he puts a video. I watch it the same day. So
once I actually get some more content on my YouTube video, it'll be great.
So I don't think Father Miller's doing a show tomorrow. On Saturday I'll be on with PJ maybe and the UK crew at noon Pacific Standard. Hopefully the show doesn't suck and I'll be on with Flaccid on Monday night. And on Thursday we're doing a big Mad Max show. We're going to try to look at Thunderdome and Fury Road. I want to see if we can do it. I'm hoping we can. I think we might be able to, but
that's really ambitious.
That's really ambitious. But I fucking hate Thunderdome, so I don't want to talk about it that long. I want to talk about Fury Road, but you got to get through Thunderdome. We'll see how it goes. It might end up being two separate shows, but we're going to try to make it a show. So thank you so much to the panel. You guys were fantastic. This was great. This was a really good exchange. And thank you so much to the chat. You guys, without the chat, what are you? You're just weirdos talking to no one in the middle of the night. It's freaky. No one likes that. But you guys make the show. So thank you for hanging out with us. So for now, this has been Roman of the Empire signing off. Be kind.
Toodle!